And cue the music, please. What a tough Tuesday it is to be an LA sports fan. Slee, we feel you. The latest on LeBron out at least 2 weeks to be reevaluated. Doesn't sound good, kids. And Gavin Lux is out for the season for the Dodgers after his injury yesterday during a spring training game. We are reacting. We're trying to put a smile on your face, and we're trying to be positive, yo. So let's gather around for a Tuesday and get through it together. Travis and Sliwa, your Tuesday right now.
Yeah, it doesn't feel much like a day, Slee. It's a weird day here.
Hesitate, clap,
right?
Not sure. Should I be clapping? Should I be under the desk?
It was...
The hell is going on here?
Yeah, be careful walking to your car, driving home, everybody. There's something in the air in L.A. with our guys, whether it's LeBron and Gavin Lux and just, I mean, not just guys, but important guys. And one guy gone for the season and Gavin Lux, LeBron gone for who knows how long. It's kind of a weird morning, to be totally honest.
No, it definitely is. And I know the Lux, the official word came out within the last hour or so, let's say.
Yeah.
But it was one of those yesterday where you kind of felt some good momentum after the Lakers come back from 27. We did a show where really for the first time we had so many positive things to talk about with the Lakers. And then since then, it's just been completely downhill. Honestly,
like this is now. Are you starting to see why I'm a pessimist? Are you starting to see?
Don't
why
bring me in.
I
Don't do
look
it.
at the world.
Taylor,
kind of,
save me.
You know, I don't want to say it's glass half empty, but the glass is half empty and it's chipped and it's dirty and it's there's a lot going on because the second you're like, hey, I think they're onto something. LeBron, foot injury. Down for an indefinite period of time, and then you flip over to the Dodger game, and Gavin Lux looked like he nearly killed himself trying to avoid a throw. And we find out that he tore his right ACL. Breaking news on 710 is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations in Cuba. This is why I always have let's just wait and see what happens next, because it seems like invariably
I know.
Something happens next.
And there's a blizzard in Southern California.
And we've had blizzard warnings throughout Southern California.
Driving it, you said nice. You started with rain.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being basically you were in Hawaii.
I got out of I walked out my front door.
Yeah.
And walked to my car, parked in our driveway, and I opened the door, the passenger side door, got in, or the driver's side door, got in. I closed
the door
in
from the passenger
I crawl
side.
over the middle, and I realized, like, my entire front door, when it was open for how long's the door open? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? Soaked.
Yeah.
Just soaked from the rain. By the time I had gotten to the freeway, which is about 10 minutes later, sun was out.
Yeah,
like,
perfect,
everything's
beautiful.
fine.
Yep.
Everything's fine. It's snowing everywhere. And
I put
it's sunny.
sunscreen on when I walked out.
It's a mess. And then, of course, Gavin Lux tore an ACL. I guess we can start with LeBron. Yesterday it was, hey, listen, they're on to something.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, they got a real team. They've got the right supporting squad. They've got the right star players. LeBron is still playing at an otherworldly level despite being in his 20th season. Anthony Davis showed up in that Dallas game and looked like Anthony Davis. And here we are next day, and we don't know if/when LeBron is coming back. And that to me, Slee, maybe we'll start right there. This we don't know is the scariest part of all, because the only thing that's being reported is multiple weeks, right? So in my view, the best case scenario of multiple weeks is 3, right? That because 2 would be a couple, multiple means more than 2.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it'll be 3, but it means it'll be at least 3, as I understand this. And there's only 6 weeks left in the season, so let's just split the difference. Let's say it's 4. He's going to come back with 2 weeks left in the season. That's 7 games.
Yeah, you're basically 13 games out if you're counting 3 weeks. If you go 3 weeks, you're 13, 12 games that you're counting. I'm going to go back to something you just said, because I think you are right. Sometimes when you get a definitive answer,
yes,
where you have a good idea, okay, guys, we know exactly what it is, and we know that roughly we're going to reevaluate this thing in a couple weeks, 2 weeks, whatever the case is. The latest tweet, I mean, obviously Shams, Woj, they were on it yesterday. Chris Haynes put out a tweet about an hour ago. He says, Lakers star LeBron James will be reevaluated. So the reason why I stop at reevaluated, how many different times have Anthony Davis was originally going to be reevaluated after 4 weeks. 5.5 weeks went by, as then he eventually came back.
Yeah.
Reevaluate doesn't mean, hey, that's it. The 3 weeks went by. He's right back on the floor. It means we're now going to look at it again to see what level of progress he's making or lack of progress. So he says, we'll be reevaluated after a few weeks at that time. The hope is to gather better understanding of what direction to go in which would keep him sidelined additional time, league sources tell TNT. And
I was reading something this morning from a doctor that was talking about these things, that the reason that 3-week reevaluation or multiple weeks or 2 weeks, whatever the time is when they go to reevaluate, is that a lot of time with foot injuries, because of the way that the foot is structured and the bones are so small and everything else that are in there, that you need the swelling to go down after a couple weeks before you can even see what happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of just guessing at what it might be theoretically. Again, the Lakers haven't announced what injury it is. Nobody's saying they're speculating. Could be Liz Frank. It could be plantar fasciitis. It could be a midfoot sprain. There's a whole bunch of theories out there on what it was based on what it looked like and what he said about a pop. Some of them are, you're done for a year. Some of them you could be done for a few weeks. But you might not even get a clear picture of what's going on inside his foot for another several weeks. You could have a reevaluation in 2 or 3 weeks. They're like, oh, it's, ABCD, and that's a 5-week injury or a 6-week injury or an 8-week injury or a 2-week. You just don't even know what the timeline might be until you go through the first part of the timeline. And it's just incredibly frustrating because here we are down the stretch run with virtually no games to spare as it is.
We have 20 games left. This is it. Right.
If this were Thanksgiving and you got this news, you're like, oh, this sucks. But, okay, well, there'll still be a handful of games. It's not. It's March tomorrow. The season's virtually over, and you don't know if/when, and even if he does come back, how effective he'll be.
Let me put some context on this, what the Lakers have been without LBJ.
Ugh.
So just to kind of give everybody an idea. This season, they're 5-9 without LeBron. Since LeBron has been a Los Angeles Laker, they're 36-62, which is actually kind of funny. The winning percentage, it's virtually the same, whether you take the sample size of, what is that?
This year versus
14
his
games
Laker career.
or the so the Lakers are obviously you and I have talked about this. I've said that without Anthony Davis on the court, the Lakers hovered around 500.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Lakers can't do when LeBron's not on the court?
Hover around 500.
Hover around 500.
Yeah.
That's
they don't
at
have
least
this team. They don't have these role players, and that might be a
so
difference.
That's a silver lining.
This is kind of what I was going to set up. What I was going to set up was, at least from what we've seen in Bron in his tenure with the Lakers, they have proven that they are not a team that's going to hover around 500. This is the only thing that does kind of give a little bit of hope for the Lakers season. Before I even mention anything about the Lakers, if this was 3 weeks ago and the Lakers, it was before the trade deadline, I would be telling you right now, Trav, April 10th, I just want you to know the Lakers season's over. They're going to play on the 9th. They're going to do their exit interviews on the 10th. And once those interviews are done, you probably see me a lot more because I'm not going to have Laker games, okay? That's what I would have told you if Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley, if all those guys were still on this team. The team is different. I don't think it's crazy to say, okay, can Anthony Davis not by himself? When people say, kind of almost when I hear people talk about, well, now it's AD's turn. Guys, I've said it's AD's turn 39 different times.
Yeah.
It's not just AD. Can D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, Rui Hachimura, if we're going to sit here and talk about the Lakers' depth and some of the players that they have, can this team put together a run to where that they grab that number 10 seed? I don't think that's out of the question at this point.
I agree with you. There's a whole bunch in there. You basically laid out a whole show right there because there is the Anthony Davis part of this, the supporting cast part of this. Can they hold on long enough to get LeBron to just get in the 10th and maybe he's ready to go by the time that the play-in starts? There's a lot there. I want to go through all of this. I want your phone calls as well. 877-710-ESPN. 877-710-3776. I want to start right here. And we're speculating because there's so little information that we know for sure, so we're just guessing here. But I want to start with this. Why was he still out there after he had a pop in his foot? Now, maybe the answer is it's one of those injuries that, look, you can't make it any worse, right? We've heard that, look, as long as you can stand the pain, go out there and do your thing, you're not going to make it worse. Maybe it's as simple as the answer is that. But this seems to me so when you hear somebody say, I felt X pop, your elbow, your knee, your ankle, your whatever it is, that's when you shut things down, right? That's when you pull the guy out of the game. If Clayton Kershaw said, I felt my elbow pop, they wouldn't have him pitch 3 more innings.
Sure.
LeBron James played an additional 13 minutes after that injury. I'm not saying that 1 + 1 = 2, but it kind of feels like it. Plus, add up the fact that he's had to play so many minutes all season long. This is the ultimate catch-22. This is the result of asking a guy in his 20th year, hey, by the way, I'm going to need you to play somewhere between 35 and 42 minutes every night that you play. We're still going to be under 500, but our only chance to win any of these games is if you are superhuman every single night. And, oh, by the way, by doing that, we're increasing the chances that we lose you for an extended period of time. This is oddly a Rob Pelinka-created issue, which is you put together a team prior to the trade deadline that was so incapable of winning games that you were asking LeBron James to do something that a 25-year-old would have a hard time doing, much less somebody that's in their 20th season. To put together a roster where the only way you could win is if LeBron James plays 40 minutes a night and their 40 A-plus minutes was a losing errand. That was never going to be a solution to win a bunch of games to get you in the playoffs. It was going to lead you to where we are this morning, which is LeBron is down, and we don't know how long it's going to be, and the clock is ticking. There's no time left, and you're out of the playoff picture.
So, minutes per game, Bron averaged 36 minutes per game so far this year. Mm-hmm. That's 12th in the league. It's Mikal Bridges, it's Anthony Edwards,
not
it's Luka, it's Murray, it's Fred VanVleet.
Not in their 20th season.
Yeah, listen, that part's true. I will tell you that what Rob Pelinka also cannot prepare for, AD misses another 5.5 weeks.
But see, okay, I disagree with that, Al. I really do. That if you were expecting Anthony Davis not to miss time, then you weren't paying attention to what had gone on the 2
But how do you
previous
plan?
years.
Then what do you do?
You put together a team that can function as best as possible without him. Move Russ earlier. Do something. And look, what they've got now works pretty well. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job at the deadline, but this was we said it in November. We said it in this isn't going to work. This is not a good team. This is a team where you're asking LeBron to do the impossible. Now, he might be able to do it, but it's at what cost? And the cost is now
but can I also
his foot broke.
Can I also say this? Weren't you also saying don't go get fleeced and give up those 2 first-rounders for a deal that doesn't make sense?
100%. Yes, you're right. My point is that you've created this problem where there's no exit roads. This is what I was telling you for the last 2 years. You're in the middle of the forest, and there's no way out. You need to be really careful about what you're doing. And now you have this weird situation where you're asking a guy AD, who has not been healthy for a very long time. We'll come back. We'll pick it up right here. We want some more of your phone calls, too. 877-710-ESPN. What happens to the Lakers here? Can they still get in? Can AD, and we'll pick it up right there,
carry the Lakers,
do what we've been asking him to do for 2 years? Can it finally be done right now? That's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 7.
At least you didn't eat it like Mace. You're good.
All right, we're reminding you that Pickleball Madness, or March Pickleball Madness, is coming up on March 18th at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. It's free for all non-participants, and there's a million things to do, Al.
All right, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come out, hang out. We do these events every time we do them. We love having listeners there. We got our Pop-A-Shot Challenge. We got a beer garden going on. So we got everything going on. Don't forget that day.
Games for the kids. Bring the kids on out. It'll be a great time. You'll watch me and Al just wipe the floor with everybody because we're pickleball experts.
We'll be out in the first round.
The latest on LeBron as the Lakers get ready to battle Memphis today. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. And the latest on Gavin Lux. We're reacting and talking about it all day long right here. LA's mega sports station 710 ESPN right now. More of Travis and Sliwa.
It's funny. You and I, typically during the break, we'll talk about something else. We spent the whole
kept going
talking about LeBron and
kept going.
Why they're in the position that they're in.
I took 3 phone calls during the break.
Since we went through those 3, 877-710-ESPN, if you want to get in and talk about what you think of the Laker chances from this point forward.
Yeah.
John Castro had a tweet. Emily and I were talking about this earlier today. He wrote, Laker fans disappointed about LeBron's injury shouldn't be surprised. It's like taking your 10-year-old car with 150,000 miles to make it across the country with no issues. Ask Emily. So
okay.
Your car got a little abused right
car
there.
I love
was
how we found a way to weave your car into the mix here.
Well,
It was less than 10 years old. Let me just say that. And it was less than 150,000
Tell him, Em.
miles.
Tell
it
him,
was
Em.
probably around 70,000.
And she had just got an oil change
Yes,
7,000
I
miles
had
ago.
tried.
this is not a 10-year-old car with 150,000 miles. To extend the car analogy, LeBron is a 20-year-old car that's got 300,000 miles. Now, it's the best car you've ever owned in your life.
Yeah.
It runs basically flawlessly for the first 15 years of its life. The last 5 years, got to get some stuff fixed on it occasionally. It's still run. When it's good, it's great, right? LeBron James in his first 15 years in the league, the first 15 years on the road, basically, missed 71 games. That's brakes, tires, and oil changes.
That makes no sense, by the way. That's not a number that makes sense.
You didn't have to touch the car. Brakes, tires, and oil change. That's it. That's the only thing you need to change.
71 games in 15 years with how many playoff runs in those 15 years?
Yes. The last 5, he's missed 98 games. Hey, there's a crack in the manifold. Hey, the transmission needs to be replaced. We got to do that. It's just, now when you get it fixed, it runs great, but you're getting all these other sorts of problems. And now, coming into year 20 of the car, the last 50,000 miles that you've gone over 300,000, you're basically saying, I'm going to drive the Indy 500 in this car every day. Mm-hmm. That's what you're asking the guy to do. And this is why it broke. And this is why we are where we are, because this is a team that had no other options other than ask LeBron to virtually do the impossible. And now that you've finally got him some help, now that Anthony Davis,
the right help too,
air quotes, hopefully, knocking on wood, appears to be healthy and playing at a high level, when he could conceivably take on a little bit less, it breaks. And it's just it's so frustrating because it felt like they finally had found their way into a position where there's a path, you can see it, and now that path is even more unlikely to come to fruition.
Last night, doing Lakers talk, BT, Brad Turner, LA Times, came on, and we both kind of got stuck on one topic. And Lakers started the season out 2-10, right? And I know that was so long ago, but the Lakers have basically been trying to get out of 2-10 since 12 games into the season, and they never did. And I only bring that up because, like you just said, Bron had to play how many different games. I would do a post-game show. And I'm like, 38 minutes for Bron. Okay, hey, there's just another typical night. Oh, went to overtime? 43 minutes for LeBron James. 40 minutes. And it just became, I think this is the one thing that Bron has also kind of built into our head, is just assuming that he's all good.
Yeah.
Right? So I walked in after the game on Sunday. The reason why yesterday I came in, you're the one that actually brought it up. You said, any concern with LeBron and his foot?
Well, keep in mind now, before the All-Star break, he missed what? He missed 3 in a row, 4 in a row, whatever it was. Was it 3?
And it was a right foot.
Yes.
I remember the game he was breaking the record against Oklahoma City.
He came out.
He kept taking his shoe off and have one of those
balls.
Yeah, whatever it was. He's rubbing like the bottom of his foot on it. But this
has been something that's been bothering him for a while.
He's had right foot soreness.
The check engine light has been on for a few weeks, and you didn't take it to the mechanic.
Or sometimes you're like, you know what, I got to ride this one out. I only have a certain amount of budget right now. I got to work this thing out.
I hope it doesn't get worse.
Hope it doesn't get worse. Sorry,
Emily.
But the only reason why I say that is because Bron has kind of built in our head that Bron is going to be there. Bron has. The game after the Dallas Mavericks, the reason why I didn't make too big of a deal about his foot yesterday, this was before some of the news started coming out. First, it was the status report from the Lakers that said LeBron out. And then it was Shams whatever amount of time later, and Woj reporting that it's going to be for a significant amount of time, or however you want to define significant, is because I saw Bron play the rest of the game. So I just assumed, like, okay, and I know LeBron James, Bron he's been in the lineup, whether he's hurting, he's not hurting. He talks about so much of the time it's more mental than it is physical. If Bron is out, and if the guy misses 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever the case is, that obviously just tells you that the man's body, you can only do so much.
He's an alien. He's already gotten more out of an athletic body than anybody probably ever should, right? That he's 20 years in and still able to do the things that he's done. And I think a big reason why is because he does subscribe to what you're talking about. It's far more important to be mentally strong than your body. Like if you believe it and you train and you put in the work, that the mental component of it is just important. Yeah, right up until you hear something pop in your foot. You can't Jedi mind trick a pop in your foot. You can't say, my foot popped. It's fine. It's not. And that he was still out there after that. Again, I don't know if it had anything to do with the severity of it, the length of it, any of these things. But this just feels like one. And then afterwards, Darvin Ham just goes, I didn't hear anything about that. That's a problem. That your best player had a pop and he plays another 13. The coach didn't know anything about it, and now he's out indefinitely. There's all of these things together that make this stew of... It doesn't feel like the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. There was no open lines of communication about these things, because if I can almost guarantee you that if Darvin Ham knew that LeBron's foot popped, they're taking him out of the game. Because you can't tell me that winning one more game against Dallas is going to be the difference between them getting in or not. Maybe the math will shake out like that, but at the potential risk of extending his absence... And again, we're speculating here. I don't know, but I felt something pop leads me to believe, okay, I got to come out of the game. I got to get an x-ray. I got to see what that thing is. Not, well, let's play 13 more minutes and figure it out from there. It seems crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about the... I do think, because Bron went to the sidelines, he sat there, he was with a trainer. I think if LeBron James knew, and we don't know the answers to this, let's put it this way. A little bit later today, Lakers pre's at 3. They early tip-off today, 4:30 in Memphis. So Coach will talk at some point. And I think we'll get a little bit more details of it. I think because we don't have any details, we jump to conclusion and we think this, we think that. I don't think what you're saying is crazy. What you're saying, wait, no. If he felt something during the game, well, then why did he go for another third? I hope some of those answers come out. I hope some of that. But I did see Bron on the sidelines with the trainers. Shoe is off. They're doing whatever they're doing. I think Bron is one of those that if he says, guys, I'm okay, I'm going to go back in, or maybe there's a conversation with a trainer of, based on what this is, it can't get any worse.
I would be okay with that, Al. If that was what was being told to us, sure. If they said, look, we talked to the trainers, we all had a conversation, we decided it was okay. Okay. It just sounds like he felt this thing and kind of kept it to himself and just kept
Darvin
going.
Didn't even know about it.
Right. It's a weird. It doesn't
definitely
seem
to keep
like
it to himself because it was all over Twitter. But I know
not everybody was on the same page.
No, I know.
It's
You're
weird.
saying he's on the floor. He's communicating with his
his
players,
teammates.
but not his.
Yeah, it was odd. Let's try one here. Ontario and Peter. Peter, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Peter?
Hey, how you guys doing, man?
Great.
Hey, real quick here. AD, he has to step up. I know Silva said that we've seen that movie before, but he has to step up. They got some different players on here. They got some weak teams coming up. They should be able to hang on. At worst, they go 15 and 10 or what 22 games. So whatever
21.
that amount of, they should be able to win 10 to 12 games from these weak teams that are coming up.
So Peter, appreciate you calling in. Careful with everything he just said. These weak teams come. Lakers are 3 games below 500. So what do we define as weak?
Yeah.
And if Bron's not playing in these games, take Steph Curry off the Warriors. What are they?
Right.
Take Karl Anthony Towns off the Timberwolves. Take Zion off the Pelicans. You know what all these teams are? They're
Bad.
all falling the other way.
Yeah.
None of them have excelled when their best player is out. But I'll go on some that he just said. The chatter about Anthony Davis needs to step up. Nobody's questioning that AD doesn't need to step up. Nobody's saying that AD shouldn't have 30 and 15 a night. Nobody's saying any of that. But I also know, watching Anthony Davis, what every team is going to do when they play the Lakers and LeBron's not there. Cool, we're just going to focus on Anthony Davis. So AD is going to see every double team that comes. They're going to just make sure all these other guys do something.
You mean everything that LeBron had to do when Anthony Davis was out? You mean that?
Yes.
Right. And LeBron found a way to, I don't want to say succeed because they are under 500, but at least was able to deal with it.
But let me just put it this way: arguably the greatest player of all time.
You're right.
So it's like
against the guy who can't stay on the court.
It's like that's what LeBron does. That's the difference between these two guys. I will just say that as much as people are going to make an argument that it's AD's time, he's got to do this, got to do that, I lean the other way. There's got to be 5, 6 other guys every single night. If we're talking about the team is better than it was a couple weeks ago, if D'Angelo and Dennis Schroeder and Austin Reeves and Rui and Beasley and Vanderbilt, if these guys are not all playing well, I don't even care what AD does. I still don't think they win.
Okay, I want to pick it up right there because I think that we're looking at the phone calls that we have and we're getting what you're saying and then we're getting the opposite of this too. And what you're describing in Anthony Davis should send a cold shiver down the back of every Laker fan, not just for now, but for the foreseeable future. It's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710.
If you didn't eat it like Mace, you're good. Oh.
Your Tuesday reacting to the latest on LeBron as the Lakers get ready to battle Memphis today. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. and the latest on Gavin Lux. We're reacting and talking about it all day long right here. LA's mega sports station 710 ESPN right now. More of Travis and Sliwa.
Talk about something that's much better news than LeBron's injury, than Gavin Lux's injury. Apparently, he just spoke with the media a little while ago and was in tears talking about how he's not going to get an opportunity, at least this season, to be the starting shortstop for the Dodgers. We're still going to play pickleball.
Yes.
Hopefully you and I get out of the Pickleball Madness tournament, the inaugural Pickleball Madness tournament coming up on March 18th without any injuries of our own. Of course, it is at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Reserved seating is still available. You can register at espnla.com. Of course, the event is open to the general public, so come on out, hang out with us. You can press the flesh a little bit, and we can maybe have a beer or two.
Yeah,
and
nothing
just
wrong with that.
Chat a little bit, thanks to our pals at Michelob Ultra, Bud Light Seltzer, and Pizza Hut. And you're thinking, well, I'm not much of a pickleball guy. Come out anyway, because there's TVs to watch college basketball, there's Pop-A-Shot, pickleball demos and lessons, there's stuff for your kids to do, there's a kids zone, there's a beer garden, complimentary food and drinks, live music and entertainment, prizes, giveaways, photo booth. There's a lot going on, Slee, so people should come out and see us get our clocks cleaned at pickleball.
Well, and if you're not a pickleball person, if you want to watch real athletes, just as an example, I'll be practicing later this week on Thursday.
For the first time.
For the first time.
You know you
And
hold
we'll
it by
believe
the
when we
skinny
see
end, not by the fat end.
Okay, I had it. Yeah, I had it on the. I was trying to use.
You hit it with the little stick part.
Yep, I was
Yeah.
actually stabbing at it.
Woke
Just get it
you.
back. Right.
Yeah, it's not fencing. It's
Why are you
pickleball.
outside the lines? Oh, so we're inside the lines? Okay, got it.
You
Got it.
can't go in the box. The only place you can go is in the kitchen. That little sliver right before the net. That's all you can do.
We're going to look terrific.
I
out
really
there.
look forward to you coming back. You're doing it on Thursday, you
Thursday.
said?
Actually, a nice four. Me, Jorge, Bergman, and Yates.
Okay.
So we'll get a chance to do twos.
It'll be good, but I'm curious that if when you come back, you'll be able to tell me the score or not, or we'll be even more confused, because
That's a good
there
point.
are three numbers. You'll figure it out. You're a smart guy. I
Got
have
a
faith in you.
YouTube. I'm going to
You
YouTube that.
probably
Just like I
should.
YouTube the steak, I will YouTube. That's going to be my last two searches on YouTube.
How to cook a steak and how to score pickleball. Not bad.
That's what it will be.
And look, there could be far worse things in your browser history
True.
than that.
That's true.
You never know what's going to pop up in there. All right, back to what we were talking about with AD. We'll get to more of your phone calls here in a second. 877-710-ESPN. You were talking about how because LeBron is out and AD is going to see double teams and all these other things, and you're thinking it's got to be more of the supporting cast than it does him.
He's got to do his thing, yes, but the supporting cast, I think, is going to be the difference.
It's going to be very, very important. I just want to stop on the AD thing for half a second and talk about this. What you're saying that this is exactly what the best player on a team has to do. That everybody in the finals knew Giannis was going to take every shot, and you got it. He found a way to get it done. That when Steph Curry last year in the finals, Steph Curry, I know he's going to. You got to find a way to get it done. The very best players, despite everybody in the arena and the 12 guys on the other team and every coach on that other staff saying, we have to stop Giannis, they can't. That we have to stop Steph Curry, they can't. It's what you need from Anthony Davis. That despite everybody's best effort to try and slow him down, he's got to be the guy that we thought that the Lakers traded for a few years ago. That I don't care how many defenses you draw up. I don't care how many special ideas you have. There's no answer for this. When Kevin Durant's at his best, there's no answer for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
There's no answer for Giannis and these guys. He's got to do this. And not only because I think it would be fascinating and fun and exciting to see over the final 21 games and however many they get beyond that.
Life without Bron.
Yes. This is an opportunity for him. And look, I'm not particularly bullish on Anthony Davis. I think we have a pretty good idea on what he is. But if there is one last gasp for him to try and establish himself as the future of the Lakers, it starts tonight. Tonight is the beginning of you're going to have a really good idea if this is a guy that is
AD, take us to the
occasionally
playoffs.
great or is a guy that just is one of those NBA players that, guys go off occasionally. And
Yep.
maybe he goes off slightly more than the average guy, but he's not one of those guys. Can you be one of those guys? Not just now, Al, but can you be one of those guys? Look, LeBron is not going to get hurt less next year. He's not. He's in year 21.
Sure.
You're going to have to figure out if this man is a part of what you're going to do moving forward or not, and it starts tonight.
So here's what I've learned from Anthony Davis in his time with the Lakers. I've learned that he's not Giannis, and he is not Joker, and he is not Kevin Durant, and he is not LeBron James, and he is not Luka, and he's not Steph Curry, and he's not Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. He's not. That's what I've learned. Now, I've also learned that Anthony Davis, if he's the second best player or as equal as another player on your team, that you can ride out something special. Lakers did it in the bubble. Okay, you can put the contingencies there, and we know that there was a break, and maybe
circumstances
that worked to the advantage of the Lakers.
Sure.
Well, it is what it is. That's what happened. I can't buy the AD is going to be, because this is if this happens the rest of the way, I will tell you that if Anthony Davis carries the Lakers and is 30 and 15 a night, couple block shots, and everybody else is contributing. By the way, you know what we haven't talked about, which could very easily be the difference of this whole thing? D'Angelo injured his ankle 2 games ago.
Yeah, that's another part
and
of
he's
this.
doubtful. And D'Angelo's
he's not playing tonight, right?
Is your I don't think he's playing tonight.
Yeah.
He is your third best player,
And
just
your
based
second best
off
player
of
now.
And now your second best player. So even as much as like we're talking about the Bron thing, if D'Angelo is out for a week or 2 weeks or 2 games, 3 games, that's a key difference in this whole thing. But the way I look at Anthony Davis is if he does what you just described, get you 30 and 15 a night, the role players are contributing, and the Lakers are sitting there, hey, they're 10th in the West. Hey, they're 9th in the West. Hey, they're 10th again. They sit there. And AD kind of helps you get into that playing tournament. I think it is obviously a great sign for the future, but I don't see Anthony Davis as a player that's going to carry your franchise. I see Anthony Davis as one of the key players to your franchise that somebody else is there with you.
You spent a lot of money to get a supporting player. You spent a lot, and not just money, you spent a lot of capital, you spent a lot of everything that you have to get a guy that can't headline. That was an expensive supporting cast.
Well, this is the question. Can you headline without Bron?
Yeah.
Because he could headline. But Bron's been there the whole time that he's been headlining.
That's not headlining, though. That's maybe stealing a scene in a movie, but that's not headline. That's not opening a movie without the other guy in it.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example on this, and just examples, right? The Michael Jordan was always the headline. Mm-hmm. You're not winning without Scottie, right? And that's kind of how Kobe Bryant was the headline. He's not winning a championship without Powell. Mm-hmm. So that's how I personally view AD. I don't see him as the headliner. I see him as a very critical, important piece. Can he do something on his own?
I'm with you on that. Now the difference was Scottie Pippen and Pau Gasol and the other guys that kind of fall into that category. They were not brought to those teams specifically to be the guy when the guy left. Right?
Yeah.
That Pau Gasol was not brought to the Lakers. Look, Kobe wasn't at the end of the line at this point saying, hey, listen, he's got a few years left. We've got to take care of him, but you need to get ready to do this.
Passed, yeah.
This was I'll be here and I'll run with him until he's done, but then I'm done. Everybody understood that.
Mm-hmm.
That AD, that was not the understanding. The understanding was, I'm going to wait over here until you tell me I'm ready, but I'm ready to go the second you need me, and it's just not true.
I'll tell you this. You kind of get me a little excited when you set it up that way. The problem is I don't have – listen, I'm a fan of Anthony Davis, but I'm also not sold on everybody get out of the way. Give AD the ball, and he's just going to go do what he does.
Why would you be?
Yeah.
I mean, he did it in New Orleans, kind of, when no one really cared. And being on the Lakers is a different animal.
Well, and even if he did what he did in New Orleans, the question is, can you be – the dude from New Orleans or that stretch in the Lakers that you have where everyone is following you? Since he's been with the Lakers, everybody's been following Bron.
Let's go to Torrance this time. And Eddie, you're on with Travis and Slee. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. I just wanted to point out, AD's personality ever since he was at Kentucky was always to be, let me just do my role and be in the background. When he was at Kentucky, the focus was on them as a team. And in that role of just let me do my job, he stood out. When he went to New Orleans, he was on a team that nobody cared about. So once again, since he was just left to only just do his job and not headline, he actually he's very successful, but he's not an alpha player. I think we really have to just accept this is who he is, this is what he's shown who he is, and that's okay. He can still be a very successful player, but he's not ever going to be Batman. He's always going to be a really, really, really good Robin. And as long as we as a team for the Lakers, while LeBron is out, we kind of take a team approach that, hey, we're going to attack you from all 5 positions. I think we'll have a better chance of AD playing better as opposed to putting AD as a frontliner.
So, Eddie, I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to go back a couple games ago. He had a night where he went 3 for 5 from the field, and he had 12 points. Okay? Put that to the side for a second. I paid attention to his post-game, and he just said, what do you want me to do? We were playing good basketball. I liked what was happening with the team. I didn't want to call for the ball. We're up 10, we're up 12. It was a good flow of the game, and we won the game. So I wasn't going to kind of fault him for saying anything right there, because basically what he's saying is, did we get the W or did we not? I think these games coming up, that's going to be fascinating to me. I don't think Anthony Davis is a selfish player. I think there's a lot of times we ask AD, can you be more selfish? So if he's getting good contributions around him, does that help AD's game? If the focal point is just AD, what will that look like?
I'm trying to figure this out. That I don't know if it's just that I've been brainwashed by media members, including myself, where
you brainwashed yourself.
Well, maybe that Anthony Davis is a great player. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's a good player, right? Because there's a difference between those things. There are good players in the NBA. That
How many
can have
great players?
Nights.
How many great players do you think?
Maybe 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, by the way, I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say it, but when he came, the wrapping was, this is a great player who is in a bad situation. This is a great player who will bring championships to this city because he's going to be combined with another great player. And at least at first, that's exactly what happened. But maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a good player. Maybe he's a guy that, look, he can't be the best player on your team. That's just not what he is. And that's not disrespectful. Like you just said, there are 10 of those guys. If we made a list, 8 of our 10 would be the same, and maybe more. There's only so many, but maybe we just need to turn the page on asking him to be a great player and just live with the fact that he's a good one.
That's part of the reason why I'm saying everyone throwing it on AD's back. I don't think that's your recipe for success. I think
not just now, but down the road.
I'm talking about right now. And by the way, you want to talk about down the road? They're not going to do anything if AD's your best player and it's just role players. You're going to do something when it's AD, another star player, and then you got your role players.
Yeah.
You can't. LeBron is the star of this franchise.
I would want the star player and AD, not AD and a star. I need that star player to be
Can I give you
better than him.
I don't know if this is a great example, but Dame put up, what do you have, 71, whatever he did a couple days ago.
Who doesn't?
I've always said to myself, looking at Dame, I'm like, you know what Dame needs? Dame needs a player like AD. And the point that I'm trying to make is that
Dame's the star.
Dame's the superstar.
Yeah.
AD's going to get you that 25 and 12, whatever it is. That's kind of how I've looked at it.
Yeah, no, the sentence that we all want is, man, Damian Lillard wouldn't be as good without Anthony Davis, right? It's not Damian Lillard is helping Anthony Davis. It's Anthony Davis.
Man, you know what Luka can use?
Yeah.
AD.
Yeah, we've been looking.
That's
at that.
kind of how I've defined it.
I feel better already. Not about the Lakers, but just about my mental place on what my expectations are for him. If he's a good player and not a great player, I feel better already. I just needed to kind of quantify that because I was told for way too long he's a great player.
Well,
he's not.
The only reason why I say it is because I don't think if AD gets 30 and 15 tonight against Memphis, I don't think that means they win.
Yeah.
I think it's AD got 30 and 15. But then you had all this other contribution from your other players. That's all I'm trying to say is that these role players are going to be key.
And he could go get 30 and 15, and they could win, and it could be an exciting night. But that's not that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I'm going to need of the remaining 21 games. I'm going to need you to do that 17 times. That's what I'm talking about. Not 4. Lots of guys can do it 4 times. Not very many can do it 17.
Where every team is going to say, we know where the ball's going, and there's no answer for Shaq, or there's no answer for Giannis, or there's no answer for Joker, or whatever it is.
All right, we're going to get to Gavin Lux as well. So it's not just the Lakers who got terrible injury news. The Dodgers got hit with some yesterday as well. Plus Taylor with Hey, Did You See? Coming up next, it's Travis Lee, 7.
Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that? I saw it. I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see?
Did you happen to see?
It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this?
Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
Taylor, are you injury-free? We don't need to worry about you in the LeBron or Gavin Lux category right now?
Knocking on wood, but yeah,
Okay,
injury-free.
Good. What do you got for us today?
All right.
I'm hurt internally. I'm injured internally.
I'm sorry.
Your
Slee.
feelings.
For the rest
I feel
of the
for you, man.
season, my feelings are hurt.
I truly feel for you. Did you see
No,
that?
you don't.
Oh,
no, you don't.
Come on.
As a Kings fan, you're like, because look, be honest, okay? Truth serum time. Had the Lakers kept it together and worked their way into that sixth spot, and the Kings got them, you would not be loving what you were looking at.
See, I think that's why all this happened, because there's too much talk of, we're going to be the 6th seed. This is all God. What is it?
Karma got him.
Yeah, exactly.
God has spoken.
Through LeBron's foot. What's up, dude?
Okay. Did you see that 67% of people don't listen to their voicemails? So, do you leave voicemails? And if not, do you consider it taboo? Travis?
It's dependent on who I'm calling. Like, if I call my mom or my dad, I leave a voicemail because they will check it, right? They are of a generation, and I put myself in there too. I know they'll check it. If I called you, Al, I wouldn't leave you a voicemail. I'd text you something. I'd say, hey, give me a call when you get a second, or something like that.
You suck today, Slee.
You were a bum. That if it were you or Emily Taylor, I would not leave you a voicemail. But if it's somebody from a certain generation, yes, I leave voicemails because I know that's the best way to get in touch with them.
I do not leave voicemails, nor do I listen to voicemails unless it's a phone number that I did not recognize. So sometimes you get a missed call, you didn't recognize the number. I'm like, all right, is it spam? Is it this? And then there's a 36-second voicemail.
And it's in Korean. I get a Korean voicemail once a week. I must have somebody's phone number close.
Forward that to me. That's amazing. I don't leave them, nor do I listen to them unless, like I mentioned, it's funny, close family too, like my mom, like you were just saying, old school, whatever. I never leave a voicemail. I feel like by the time she figures it out, she listens to the voicemail, I'll just have called her back and we'll just have the conversation.
If I called
she will
you
say, my mom will always say this, I called you. You didn't pick up. I know that, Mom. Yeah, but where were you? I'm like, Mom, people miss calls. That's life works this way.
Maybe I was doing something I just didn't feel like talking at that moment. That's the other one.
Can't tell her
my
that.
favorite is when the phone rings, you send it to voicemail, and then immediately text back, what? Like, I'm not getting on the phone with you. What do you want? Like, let's cut this down to a 2 or 3 sentence text exchange.
Yeah, my mom can't understand it. She's like, well, no, but I called you. I'm like, I know you called me. Pick up the phone, Slee.
I think for me, if I'm calling a doctor's office, something where it's an office, I leave a voicemail. I say, hey, I missed my call, or I'm trying to schedule it for XYZ place, whatever. I think if it's an office situation, I think you leave a voicemail. I think that I always listen to voicemails if people leave them for me. People have started leaving less voicemails, but personally, I cherish some voicemails from my grandmother who passed away, so I keep those and stuff like that. Like, are kind of nice to keep around. I have a friend that also passed away that I keep his voicemail, but not to be dark. But I do.
Now I'm gonna have to start collecting voicemails.
I do appreciate having someone that I care about and hearing their voice, even if I can't answer the call.
Al, call me and leave me a voicemail.
Hey,
just
Trav,
in case.
it's Al.
Just in case.
I know we're in the middle of a break here, just using the restroom. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
Additionally, do you guys ever leave, voice texts? So, my friends and I sometimes, if I have too long of a reaction to text, or I don't know if I can carry that emotion over text, I'll record myself and send them a voicemail, and then they'll do it back and forth to us, and I keep those sometimes.
I don't use voice notes. I have one specific buddy uses voice notes all the time.
I delete it and text you and say, what did that say?
And then it says whether I read it or not, and now I'm now I'm on the spot.
To Emily's point, if it's a minute long, I'm like, I'm not going to listen to a minute.
Got to go 2 times.
It's like reading a whole book.
2 times the speed. 2 times the speed there. I'm telling you. It's the only way to do it. I have a friend who will call sometimes, leave a voicemail when he's drunk, 2 times speed. I'm like, this. By the time I do 2 times speed, it sounds like a normal conversation.
Start collecting a voicemail from everybody I've ever met just in case. There's one from my high school PE teacher.
I don't know. Sometimes it's cute.
No, I'm not being flip. I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Next up, guys. Did you see the average phone owner has around 2,100 photos on their smartphone? So, Sliwa, what's the most recent picture on your phone, and why is it there?
Good question. I'll tell you right now. Most recent photo.
Is it you and me at the Kings game?
All right, this is actually a pretty funny photo. I guess it is. There's Rookie has a buddy. His name's Beacon. Beacon's in Pasadena. And every time Beacon goes walking and Rookie and Beacon see each other, they both hallucinate. They're 2 golden retrievers, okay? I'm not kidding.
Great.
They literally hallucinate. The noises coming out of both of these dogs when they see each other.
Are they of the opposite sex?
No.
Okay.
Both male dogs. Get them in the lobby, take their leashes off, and they're just running around crazy. Took a photo, and that's the last photo that I have.
Mine is I had saved of. I went to Pink's this weekend, so I had a hot dog. That was my most recent photo that I took, and then I also have a screenshot of Mark Cuban after the Lakers game that I sent to Slee. That I thought was funny.
So I'm looking at mine.
Mark Cuban did not look happy. He did not look happy.
I've got a picture of, Al, so you can see this, so that people know what I'm talking about. I'll hold it up to the camera if we're streaming right now. These are pictures of spot-built cleats from the 1980s.
Sure.
Okay, it's a little screen cap that I have.
Yep.
I was talking with some buddies this morning, and we were reminiscing about like old gear from when we were in high school, and we were trying to come up with the name of those really crappy baseball cleats, and we finally landed on spot-built, and I found them online. They're the worst thing ever. They fell apart in 8 seconds. So I found them online and did a screen cap and sent it to them. That's why.
All right, thanks,
guys. You don't say screenshot, you say screen cap?
What did I say?
You said screen cap.
Yeah, something like that. Is that not right?
I just have never heard it before.
Bro, listeners are going to leave us if you keep saying stuff like that.
I feel like I didn't get that wrong. Like
screenshot. It's a screenshot.
That's why I say that too. I think. I thought.
I don't know. I've never heard of screen cap.
Screen grab,
screen grab, screen cap, screen shot.
That's cap.
Everybody's freaking gone.
Got one more, Taylor?
I do. All right.
Time? Okay.
Did you see that with streaming services increasing and network TV audiences' ad revenue dwindling, there are worries that late-night talk shows could be the latest genre that goes by the wayside. So, if you had your very own late-night talk show, who would be your very first celebrity guest? Trav.
Well, it wouldn't be on the air this kind of goes together with my spot-built picture, believe it or not. The only person that I'm genuinely interested in getting to know he is a celebrity, but he has not been like famous for a very long time, is George Brett. Like George Brett was my favorite baseball player as a kid.
It's on brand.
It would be. I would have George Brett, and my show would be canceled after one episode because he would be my leadoff guest.
All right, I'm going to go really light, and I'm going to go with somebody who had a late night show and it was canceled. I go Conan.
I thought you were going to say Magic. I really did.
Could have fell into this. By the way, now I want to change my answer.
Well, I was going to say,
now I want to go
like,
Magic.
It's on brand with the Lakers. He had a late night talk show. It was canceled very quickly. I thought for sure you were going.
Do you know
Magic.
what's happened? Conan, since he did his late show, I think Conan's hilarious. But now I think he's just doing a podcast just on YouTube.
He has a Team Coco podcast network.
It's interesting how you go from there, and now everything. By the way, it's okay. Non-traditional media. There's people killing it in non-traditional, but I love me some Conan.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah,
that's
a good one.
Aubrey Plaza's a good one.
Yeah, I would skip your Taylor Swift debut. I would watch your Aubrey Plaza one. I would go back for that.
All good. I have it for both people.
Taylor, who do you have?
Oh, Tyreek Evans. Come on.
It's Tyreek. First guess.
Thought it was going to be white chocolate.
Got to go Tyreek. That's the right person to pick.
Disappeared from the NBA, you know.
All of our shows, other than Emily's, are canceled right away.
Done.
She's the only one that have like general people be like, yeah, I'd like to see Taylor Swift. I'd like to see Aubrey Plaza. George Brett and Tyreek Evans, I don't think would get off the ground. I don't think it would happen. All right, more of your calls on LeBron, who is out indefinitely.
Yeah.
Which, Slee, you and I were talking during the breaks. Like the phrase that we haven't heard from anybody in Lakerland that we'd like to hear. We'll get into that. Plus, we'll break down what it means for the Dodgers that Gavin Lux is done for the year. That's all coming up. It's Trav and Slee.
All right, I'm talking to all 710 listeners right now. Let's start off with this. March 18th, it's a Saturday afternoon. Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. That is where I am about to teach everybody a little bit about pickleball. And the reason is because you see my father here is a world champion pickleball player. And while I have never played pickleball, not one time in my entire life, I already got my own racket, which means I'm about to kick some you-know-what. So come on out and support. Be there. We'll all watch college ball games together, and we are going to win.
All day long, right here. LA's mega sports station, 710 ESPN. Right now, more of Travis and Sliwa.
We were talking a little bit during the break about there was a video that was, sir, you saw it yesterday?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
So I saw it this morning, so it's been out there for at least a day, I guess. Pitching Ninja, if you're a baseball person, it's a really cool follow on Twitter. Had a split screen where on the left half of the screen was yesterday's Dodger-Padre game.
Yeah.
Okay, spring training game. And on the right-hand side of the screen was a playoff game between the Dodgers and the Cubs from a few years ago. In the time that the Dodgers and Padres in spring training had completed an entire half an inning, got three outs, okay? Pedro Baez had not thrown a single pitch. So that's what they were trying to fix. And I get it. The Dodger-Cub game was a playoff game. It's going to move a little more slowly, a little more deliberately.
Yep.
I get that this is a spring training game. Yep. It's going to move quicker.
Threw a couple times a second, trying to get the runner at second.
An entire half an inning versus one pitch? That's lunacy.
That if that doesn't tell you, even if you say, okay, hey, this is 50% inaccurate, that's still 50% faster than what if he threw 4 pitches.
They should have arrested Pedro Baez in the middle of that inning for refusing to throw
4 pitches and you still get 3 outs on the other side. It just kind of shows how significant it is.
It was crazy. The Dodgers got bad news yesterday, confirmed as very bad news this morning that Gavin Lux is going to miss the entire season. He has a torn right ACL. He was running from second to third. A ground ball was hit to the left side of the infield.
Trying to avoid the throw.
Trying to avoid the throw, going from the third baseman to the second baseman, and he took a weird step, kind of lost his balance a little bit, and blew out his knee. He was talking this morning about how devastating it is and how he's going to attack the rehab and everything that comes along with that. And look, I'm a Dodger fan. I care deeply about their success and the players on the team. And I'm trying to find something to feel good about for everything that comes out of this. And I maybe found a couple of things, but there's no way around this, Al. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
This is a big deal. This is your starting shortstop, who might not be a great defensive player, but he's a very good offensive player. He gets on base a lot. He runs really well. He doesn't hit into double plays. He can steal you a base. And with the shift, I feel like a guy that was hitting in the 280s is probably going to jump up into the 300s. This is a very big blow for the Dodgers, and it really sucks because it creates a whole bunch of questions, not only at shortstop, but in the outfield potentially as well.
I'm going to read off a quote here from Lux, and it is, I do agree with you. This is a devastating injury for Gavin Lux. He says, I think everybody dreams of being the shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Was holding back tears in his presser that he had a little bit earlier today. Ish happens, crush the rehab, and go from there. So, first off, let's just say this. What happened to the Dodgers in the offseason was, in the last couple of years, you had unbelievable shortstops. You had Trey Turner there. You had Corey Seager there. And when Trey Turner decided to sign, and everybody knew there was no kind of guarantee that he was going to come back to the Dodgers, when he decided to sign with the Philadelphia Phillies, it left a hole at your shortstop position.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go through all the different money that was paid in the offseason for shortstop, kind of set the bar. Bar kept going up, and the Dodgers said, we're going to wait. Now, nobody was saying Gavin Lux was going to walk in and be the greatest shortstop on defense. We knew that. It's part of the reason why they went and got Miguel Rojas, right, was here's a really good defensive player, but Lux is bad is as good as it's going to get.
He's a above-average major league offensive player.
And there was a lot of chatter about it was going to go Lux, Mookie, Freddie. That was going to be your 1, 2, 3. There was some conversations about that. From a baseball perspective, if there's one thing we could look at the Dodgers today that's different than in the past years, they don't have depth like they've had in the past. So it's not like you're just kind of plug and play. Somebody else goes in there. Feel bad for Lux. This is an awful injury. He's going to be out for a long time, certainly going to miss the season. But what the Dodgers miss in their lineup without Lux, it's not. It's a significant loss.
I want to hear from Dodger fans, too. If Laker fans, if you're on hold, stay there. We're going to take all of your all injury radio today, unfortunately.
Basically, we're Cedar Sinai today.
877-710 ESPN. So let's put Lux. He's gone for the year, so it's not like, is he coming back? He's done. You'll see him spring 2024 is the next time you'll see him in a Dodger uniform. First question is, who plays shortstop? Do you get into the market? Because this year, every shortstop worth his salt moved. Correa moved 3 times and ultimately ended up where he started. You've got a new shortstop in Philly with Trey Turner. You got a new shortstop in Chicago with Dansby Swanson. You've got Bogarts went to the Padres.
Padres have 4 shortstops.
They got one shortstop playing left field now in Fernando Tatis Jr. And Seager moved the year before. So all of the really, really good ones have kind of settled into new roles. Do you go and try to find somebody that's maybe good, not great? Do you just give the job to Miguel Rojas, who felt like look, if Lux really struggles offensive or defensively at short, we can throw Rojas in there.
Yeah.
Is he your starting guy and see what happens? Do you put Chris Taylor in there?
Yeah, that's what you're hearing a lot of is maybe CT coming in.
So maybe you give Chris Taylor a chance to be that guy. Well, that drastically affects what you're doing in the outfield. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to have Mookie in left, and before, Taylor was going to be one of those 2 other positions. Well, now you kind of got 2 open spots that you've got Outman, you've got Trace Thompson, you've got some of these other guys, and we could go around the block 100 times on which of those guys we like the best, but Taylor was probably the best option out there in one of those 2 spots. If you put him at short, you're to your point out, your depth is getting shorter. Your optionality, which you've heard me talk about the Dodgers a million times, they had 5 guys that could play multiple positions. Well, now we're running out of guys that you can move around. You don't have that anymore.
It's not a good comp, but I'm going to just give you one example. The Rams last season had almost, it felt like, zero margin for error.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
You can't lose players because you don't have depth. I'm not saying this is exactly the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have some key guys that are out. The Dodgers also are in a position where they didn't re-sign certain players. It's just a much different look for the Dodgers coming in that I think most Dodger fans are accustomed to. Maybe you're going to see a lot of these younger players come up, and they're going to get opportunities. And
they're going to have to.
And right, they're not going to have a choice. And what guys will hit, what guys won't, you'll probably find out more as the season progresses.
So after I got done watching Gavin Lux blow out his knee, and just think, oh my gosh, when you start thinking about.
Did you think it was bad right away?
Yeah, it looked
when you
terrible.
get carted off.
The second the cart shows up, it's bad news. And just watching it go, it was bad. I'm squeamish. You and I both with that stuff. Like, no, I don't really want to look at that.
Could I just say this? Sunday night Clippers and the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. Somebody comes underneath him. He turns the ankle. If I'd have told you ESPN found 39 different angles, I think they started going to people in front row in their camera on their own phone, okay? And they somehow find a way to go through and say, can we connect to your phone real quick? Just download the ESPN app. Here's another angle. I don't need those angles.
This is from Gary in row 3. Shout out to Gary.
Gary, can you stop moving your right hand, please? The video is shaking.
So when the blow of losing your starting shortstop wears off, and you start kind of thinking around, can I just offer, and this is being very optimistic, okay? Very, very optimistic. But I think it's also potentially true. The Dodgers are in a spot that they have not been in for the better part of 10 years, which is they're under the radar. The Padres have all of the attention on them. The Padres are the ones that are handing out $300 million contracts like it's the last day on earth. The Mets have Steve Cohen, who is spending money like crazy and giving.
Phillies got to the World Series and added Trey Turner.
For sure, added Trey Turner. The Dodgers lost some big name guys. They lost both Turners. They just lost Gavin Lux. Bellinger is gone, and some of their star players are a little bit longer in the tooth, like Kershaw. Right? You lose Lux, and it's up. Okay, they don't have the depth. They don't have the optionality. They don't have this, that, and the other thing. All true. All true. Here's the silver lining of this. They're still really good. Okay? If your first 4 guys in your batting order, and put them in whatever order you want, are Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, and Max Muncy, it's pretty good 4 guys that you're throwing out. There's not a lot of teams that have a better opening 4, okay? You look at the starting pitching. If you've got Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Noah Syndergaard, Julio Urias, and Clayton Kershaw as your starting 5, find me a better one. I don't know if you can. The depth is not there. But being under the radar, having expectations that are still there, but nothing like, hey, you're going to win 115. Hey, you're going to win the division 10 years in a row. Hey, you're finally going to win the World Series. They're just one of the teams. All of that extra attention is going to San Diego and to New York and to Philadelphia.
Houston.
To Houston. To be kind of, for the first time in a really long time, under the radar, I wonder if that doesn't serve them pretty well.
That's actually an interesting perspective because there has not been a time where it doesn't feel like the weight's on their shoulders. There's not been a time. I mean, I just use that example just because it's the latest one. Did those dudes not feel tight against the San Diego Padres when it was 1-1 going back to San Diego?
When they won opening night when we were there at Dodger Stadium, you could feel Dodger fans going, what was that?
5-0. It's 5-3.
That was not fun.
But I think, even when... Remember the Game 4 where the Dodgers went up 3-0, and then all of a sudden a couple guys get on. And the reason why I set it up that way is because I think there is something to that there's always expectations to the Dodgers, and there's always you feel like, because you're watching them at bat, and I do feel like they're tight. Dave Roberts' decisions, I do feel like they're tight. I don't feel like this is a loose... It doesn't matter what happens. And that doesn't mean that the expectations aren't going to go away. It doesn't mean that Dodger fans are all of a sudden going to say, hey, you don't need to win. But I got to be honest, out of the last 6, 7, 8 years, if there's a year that you can look at and say, hey, if it didn't happen, are you pointing fingers the way you would this year than you did last year?
Yeah, no, you're not. Look, if you're saying to me, would you rather have last year's team or this year's team, give me last year's team. It's a better team. That being said, the best team not only doesn't always win the World Series, it very frequently does not. That being in the mix is really all that matters. Playing well, they're going to have a very different essence. They're going to have a very different sort of character. They don't have every eyeball every day on them. And I said it to you yesterday. I think it's going to be fascinating when the Padres lose 4 games in a row. And they will. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. The Mets lose 4 games. Hey, I just gave all of you guys $300 million. What's going on right now? Dodgers have had to deal with that every day for a long time. They know what that feels like and the expectations that come along with it. Now, if James Outman or Miguel Vargas or whoever struggles a little bit, it may be difficult for that one guy, but it's not going to be difficult for the team. They've been through this before. Give me better players. I always believe that. But they're in an interesting position going into this season.
I go back to something you said last year that I think made the Dodgers boring. It made them boring because you would say, man, they're on pace to win 100-plus games. Cool, what are they going to do in October? And that just kind of took away they say there's the process. And I think for the Dodgers, you can almost skip the process because you just know well, they're going to be in the postseason. What are they going to do? I think you got to pay attention to the process this year for the Dodgers, which is
more
a
now
more
today than yesterday because of what happened to Lux. It sucks. He was a huge prospect, came in, really struggled, and had a hard time kind of finding his way on a team that was loaded with veterans. He was the only young guy and kind of fell out of favor for a while, got put back in the lineup almost out of necessity. Remember he was playing the outfield, and it was like, well, this is a disaster.
Yeah, every fly ball, you're like, well, this is interesting.
Wall.
Yeah, but he was game for it, right? Like he wasn't a baby about it. He was not just the Dodgers' number one prospect. He was the number one prospect in all of baseball. And he came out of it on the other side, finally had the everyday job that you thought he was going to get from the beginning, and then that happens.
That's
it just
the quote.
Really sucks.
I think everybody dreams of being the shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Going what you just said, he obviously was excited about this opportunity.
LeBron is down, Gavin Lux is down, and your phone calls, plus something interesting coming out of Chicago about the Dodgers. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
At least you didn't eat it like Mace. You're good.
Weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Do you have like a taco guy, like a go-to person, like in your phone, his name, and then it says taco guy, or no? I'm honestly, like, do you go to the same person?
We have a couple that we use.
Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
Got a story to tell you, Al, during the next break. I'm not sure if I should tell it on the air. I'm not sure if I should be scared or be funny, or I'm going to need a little counsel from you.
There are 5 calls in front of you.
I just heard the story. It's scary stuff.
I like the smooth jazz in the background. I'm
about to get my teeth cleaned. This is what it feels like in the waiting room. And you're saying,
you're excited.
I love going to the dentist.
I know, you've told me
I
that.
do. I take good care of my teeth, so I don't have to get drilled very often, but it's I like it. I know that
For
that's a
me,
little
they
weird.
bring out like a a vice and like just cranking things. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Let's try a phone call here. Let's go to Santa Clarita and Tony. Tony, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up?
Hey, this is the perfect time to trade Max Muncy because he's got some trade value. They need a real shortstop, and Max Muncy is not even a real third baser. Max Muncy's a DH, and Gavin Lux is a real second baser. So when Gavin Lux comes back, he should be second base again, and they got to get a real shortstop.
No. That Gavin Lux's injury creates some problems for the Dodgers for sure. You don't fix that problem by trading away one of your most productive offensive players. Max Muncy had a bad year last year, Slee. Yeah. He struggled, and I think it's directly attributable to him getting his wrist ripped off towards the end of the previous season, right? He really struggled because by the end of the year, he looked a lot like Max Muncy. You're going to have to win games with some offense. Your defense is going to be okay. Max Muncy's a really valuable
And now
player.
you're really depending on him.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now, Miguel Rojas, to your point, Tony, about a real shortstop, he is. He's been an everyday shortstop in the National League for a long time. He can hold down the position.
Best defensive shortstop last year, according to the stats, defensively.
And last year, he didn't hit much. He hit like 230. The year before that, he hit 265, I want to say, 267. That's major league quality. That's good enough. I think you have an answer there. It's not Trey Turner. It's not Corey Seager. It's not one of those guys. But look, Dodger fans need to recalibrate their expectations of what a regular baseball team looks like. Last year when we were talking about this, the Dodgers had an all-star 1 through 9. That's not normal. That's not we didn't have. It was fun, but it's not normal. If you have a really good team, Padres, Braves, Phillies, Mets, Astros, Dodgers, you have like 5 really good players. The Dodgers do. They have 4 or 5 really good players.
They came back to the rest of the rest of the league.
Yes.
You know, there's something you said right there about Ross. I think there's a lot of times, at least it seems like with the Dodgers, they've been able to rub off on some of these players that play somewhere else and they play better with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We've said that. We've kind of used that example.
We're hoping Syndergaard does it this year.
Tyler Anderson signed with the Angels, and you're like, there's another Tyler Anderson coming.
His name's Noah Syndergaard.
Okay, listen. Yeah. And I have a difficult time. Like, I want to say, no, you're wrong. Tyler Anderson was key last year, but the Dodgers do have a track record of taking players from other places. Andrew Heaney, go down the list, taking players from other places, and they make them better. Rojas probably can have a better season simply for the mere fact that he's playing with the Dodgers. There's more protection. It's not Miami or whatever the case is. I say that because what you just said about the All-Star game or the All-Star team, I remember after the Dodgers, they had the All-Star game here at Dodger Stadium, right? I went to a game not too far after the All-Star game against the Twins. And when I tell you that they had these players, the team Dodger store on the outside, they still had the photos up. And I was like,
the All-Star teams?
The All-Star jerseys, players, all that. So in my head, I'm like, they still have all the All-Star players. No, they didn't. They just had Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts,
Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin.
I'm like, no, this is actually just the Dodger team.
Yeah.
That just kind of hit me for a second when you said that they have so close to an all-star team.
It's a more normal,
it's a more normal team. Yeah.
But a very good, it's a normal, very good team.
If they were here and everybody else was here, teams came up, they came down, it's almost kind of even.
And that being said, does that lend that they might be playing more regular season games that matter? They might have to somewhat compete to be in a playoff spot to actually compete against these teams.
I agree
the whole
with that.
time, last 2
that.
years has essentially been that they've been not playing important games until October. Does this mean, and they might be better prepared with more
Trav, the
games
division
cuts both ways, I think.
I know the year against the Giants,
it cuts both ways.
It was all the way down to the stretch. But if you told me September 1st rolls around, August 15th rolls around this year, and the Padres and the Dodgers are within a game of each other, that wouldn't be a surprise or a shock, right?
No.
Like, that's much more likely than the Dodgers running away with anything, or it might even be the other way. Maybe the Padres have a 4-game lead on the Dodgers going into September 1st.
I want to believe that, Emily, because I'm looking for reasons to think that this is a better situation than the other ones, and maybe. Fact of the matter is, in this 10-year run they've had really close races, they've had blowouts, and neither one has resulted in a better result than the others, right? They just have had really good teams for 10 years, and they can't quite get over the hump minus the pandemic season. Let's try a quick phone call here. Let's go to Huntington Beach and Paul. Paul, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up?
Hey, good to talk to you guys. I mean, it's devastating losing Lux. It's also fascinating. Good baseball teams are usually built up the middle, and the Dodgers are going into this season without a bona fide center fielder, without a bona fide second baseman, without a star at shortstop. Rojas is a guy, but he's not a star, and we're not used to that. This team, and what you guys were just talking about was going to be my point. The Dodgers are going to have to grind for 6 months this year, and all of a sudden, we have an opportunity to really sort of embrace a very new-looking sort of organization, at least this season. I mean, yes, and the irony is they still have dudes throughout the roster, but they're very shallow up the middle, they're unproven up the middle, and they're going to have to grind for 6 months. And frankly, that might be better, going into October. Also, it might not, but that's what I'm hanging my hat on, man. That's how I'm spinning this thing. A team won 111 games last year and came up short. The year before that, we had a rotation of Kershaw, Urias, freaking Scherzer and Buehler, and couldn't get it done. I mean, look, let's just see how this goes. It's not like we're going into this poor. We're going to this with a hell of a roster. It's just a different look, and damn, man, it sucks about Lux, man. That guy's hopefully he'll bounce back and be a guy moving forward.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys.
Thanks, Paul. It
You
really
basically
does.
moved from oceanfront property. You're 10 minutes inland now.
Yeah, you're in Beverly Hills now. Yeah. You're not in Malibu. You're in Beverly Hills. Okay, still pretty nice.
What's going on over here?
It's still
What's wrong with these people?
Still pretty nice. I think what he said though is a good point. That Lux is one of those guys that's pretty easy to root for. And he was just a cut below those megastars that they have. He felt by Dodger standards kind of blue collar. Never mind the fact that he was the number one prospect in baseball. But by Dodger standards, he's not making $35 million a year. He's not a former MVP. He's not a perennial all-star.
And this was his time, right?
It was his turn. And it just blew up on him right there. Let's go back to the LeBron conversation. Glendora and Mark. Mark, you're on with Trav and Slee. Mark. All right, never mind Mark. Let's go to Northridge and David. David, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, David?
Thank you for having me, Travis and Alan. Let's concede that AD has a tendency to not be an alpha on offense for a moment. Would it not be the coach's responsibility to create an offense that naturally flows through the best healthy offensive player on the floor despite the player's disposition or tendency? As a big, AD thrives in high and low post and perhaps triple threat position. To accomplish this, he needs to fight for the position and or have plays called for him. It is very difficult to get shots up when he's the one inbounding, dribbling, and fighting for the position. It is the coach's responsibility to maximize the use of his player as a big by delegating guard duties to guards and making him.
David, I want to jump in there real quick. Appreciate the phone call. Thank you. Al, I appreciate what David's saying, that the coach is important. There's a reason that Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr and all these guys win all these championships. It's because they're very, very good at what they do and doing what David just described. Put your best players in a position to be their best. Okay, I will stipulate to that. The difference, I think, is that the very best players will find a way to do that, generally speaking, right? I don't think that if Darvin Ham or Frank Vogel or any of the other Lakers we've had or any other players that LeBron James has played for, we're saying we're going to set you up in a bad position that LeBron would be. It's just not. It's LeBron's that good. Kevin Durant's that good. Steph Curry's that good. That some guys just, no matter what, they're going to find a way to get stuff done. The coach absolutely matters, but not nearly as much as just the best player saying, guys, I got this. That matters more.
I think, listen, I think that's fair. If we're looking at, I look at Darvin Ham more, and we've talked about this a little bit, is give me your coach. What's your coach doing in late game situations? What's your coach doing with 2 minutes left to go? What's your coach doing when everybody's expecting the play to go to this guy, but it actually goes to a different guy? I look at the coach from that perspective. If AD wants to get 30 and 15 as demanding the ball, Darvin Ham's not going to say no.
Of course not.
Right? So, I just look at it from, Ham does have a responsibility, but AD's he's got a responsibility himself. As
Yeah,
well.
he's got to be the guy that's demanding it if it's not being set up. And I would always rather have a guy that really wants more than he's getting than a guy that's just waiting for you to give him more.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I've got enough. No, more.
Yeah.
I think Kobe was ever satisfied by what he was getting.
No,
I want more.
No, and these guys, and that's if I make a comparison, there's an interesting. It's interesting the way things are going to play out for the Dodgers this year because it looks a little bit different. Got to be honest, these next couple weeks will also be interesting because the Lakers got all these new players they got at the trade deadline, and Anthony Davis is going to be a lot more on his shoulders. What does that look like over the next couple of weeks?
Factor Cap is coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 7:10.
But I'm going to go back.
First of all, it's not a cap. It's
it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, and I know what we're all thinking is that Mercury is not in retrograde, okay? So that is not responsible for all these things happening to LA at this time. It's not in the stars. It just happens to be bad luck. So
don't tell that to Lakers Twitter. You're crazy.
Exactly. And Alan asked me this morning if I had any TV recommendations for
I
him.
need some TV recommendations.
Shrinking.
Sure.
Do you
have a
agree?
couple.
Because Emily is truly I feel like an expert in this field.
She is. But Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. Have you seen it, Emily?
I don't really like their two main characters.
You don't like Harrison Ford or Jason Segel?
Nope.
Oh, well.
So I just choose to not really watch stuff with that. But I have some suggestions that you might like, Alan, and I can hit that with you later. So,
give him one right now. I'm curious what you're going to recommend.
What do you got? Give us one.
All right, here's
Give
one.
us one.
Here's the tease. So you said you like Breaking Bad. You like, The Sopranos.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw out this one called Your Honor. It's on Showtime. It stars Bryan Cranston, and he is in New Orleans. He's a judge who, this is not a spoiler because this happens in the first episode. It's just a setup. His son commits a crime, and he has to try to cover up that crime for his son. And the crime he committed was against a mob boss. So Bryan Cranston on the run from the mob boss, trying to cover this up as a judge in New Orleans. Very cool. 1.5 seasons. Second season's coming out right now. It's really short, good, and I think it'll be right up your alley.
All I need now is a user and a password for anyone with Showtime, so hit me up on Twitter. I will maybe negotiate a different password and user for you.
It's called a barter system.
Yeah.
You know what you do? Actually, no, I'll tell you how to get around
There's a black market.
It's not a black
Berg
market.
has every black market site.
It is not a black market.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
No,
Yes,
no,
you do.
This isn't a
Yes,
black
you
market.
do.
This isn't a black market. No, this is just you sign up.
Yep.
And you get the free trial. You watch the show, and then you cancel the free trial.
Yes, and that's what you can do because it's so short. You can do that really easily, or you can run it
Yeah, but then
on.
they get you
Did it
for
with
like
Dexter.
30 days, and
No,
then
no,
they
And
stop.
then you're
You
on
just-
that mailing list that
Yep,
you can
the
never
mailing
answer.
list.
no,
You
no,
can't
no,
get
no.
off the mailing
You
list.
sign up, and you immediately get rid of it, and you're already in the free trial.
It's a good game plan. It's a lot of
great
work.
game plan.
All right.
Which you will never execute.
So my sisters are my younger sister's in college still, so she's on spring break. She's in Savannah. She's with my older sister, Claire. So Claire's older than Sarah by 8 years, and so they're together for spring break. Claire texts my sister's group chat this morning. She says, "Poll: is it my fault that Sarah's back got sunburnt? She said I didn't offer to put sunscreen on her back, even though she didn't ask." So here's the situation. Sarah's back got sunburnt. She's blaming Claire because Claire didn't offer to put sunscreen
If the
on
question
her back.
is, will I put sunscreen on Travis's back? I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now.
So Claire, again, 8 years older than the other sister. She's 28. Sarah is 20. Claire should be held responsible for Sarah getting sunburned. Travis, Factor Cap.
Cap. She's how old is your youngest sister?
20.
Yeah, she's 20 years old.
Yes,
this is the shoes situation. Yeah, this is nobody's fault other than Sarah's.
Yes.
Right? This is her fault for not getting. Look, I understand
funny.
there are places on your back you can't reach,
Right, you
and
have
if
to
you
help.
can't reach, you say, "Hey, Claire, would you mind helping me out and getting to the spot I couldn't get to?" But no, Claire is not her mother. And she's not 7.
Yeah.
It's not her responsibility to do it. It's her own. I feel, as you can tell, I
Yes.
feel very strongly about this.
Yes.
At some point, you are an adult and you're responsible for yourself.
Berg?
It's Cap. I mean, you're absolutely right. But it's your body. If you want something done, just be like, "Hey, can you rub my back?" Like that's all you need to do. I don't know. This is a kind of ridiculous that she would even think about taking responsibility.
Right? Al?
100% fact. Claire is the older sister. She's much more responsible. She's almost even playing a motherly role in this situation. Claire, you got to help out the younger people. Even me trying to sell it to myself, I can't. Of course, it's Cap.
Right.
I try the best I can.
I know. I
It's
thought
Cap.
about it. I was like,
Yeah.
should I go fact and be weird about it? But I can't think of it.
I couldn't do it.
Funny,
I
Slee,
tried so
because
hard.
as you were doing it, I'm like, you know what? I respect Alan trying to do something that he clearly thinks is crap.
I aborted mission.
And I'm like, you know what? Good for Slee. Good for Slee for leaning into one, taking one for the crew,
Exercise.
and then you just punt
I
it.
aborted mission.
Nope.
It's great. Good job, Al.
Taylor?
We're going for a fourth down. Fourth down's coming. Play clock. Timeout. We're punting.
You did the quarterback quick punt on 3.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question. Did Sarah put sunscreen on Claire's back?
Nope.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Great
Great
question.
question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
She's responsible for her own back then.
Right? Exactly. And that's what I said. And then I got crapped on in the sister group chat. So it's whatever. Emily's wrong. It's great.
Reciprocation. Necessary.
So Giannis was on the Daily Show last night with Hassan Minaj. And this is what he was asked to give a message to Kevin Durant. And this is what he said.
You keep joining super teams to win the NBA title. How about we work out together sometime so I can teach you how to carry your own team?
All right. So this is a good burn from Giannis. Berg, Factor Cap.
Oh, fact. That's a fantastic burn.
Yeah.
I love Giannis so much. Everything he does and says, I'm like, you're the best. And this was a great, great burn. Because he's always been very much that way. He's like, I am not going to go to a super team.
Yeah.
I want to win on my own. I want to do it all by myself. And he did it. So, yeah, this is a fantastic burn.
So it's fact for a couple reasons. Embiid can't do that. Joker can't do that. They've been with their team, but they have not won a championship. The fact that it's Giannis, and Giannis, he's got a ring. He carries him. We were just talking about Anthony Davis a little bit earlier. He's the best player on a championship team, a finals MVP. And the fact that KD has kind of moved around, so OKC, Golden State, Brooklyn, and now the Phoenix Suns could very easily get a championship here. That's a good burn, and it's also very accurate. I love it. I love it.
Trev?
So Did you guys see it, or did you just hear it right there?
Just heard it.
Okay.
Haven't seen anything. It's the first time I heard it.
Because the audio component of it, it feels like a pretty good burn. When you see it, though, he's got this giant grin on his face, and you can tell he's reading a joke that somebody else wrote for him.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Because you can almost see his eyes like tracking the cue card, right? It's funny. I like that he participated in the burn, but I think this was one of those, hey, we got this joke for you. Would you mind reading it? If it's his burn, A+. Love it, 100%. This felt like, hey, you're on a late night talk show. It's supposed to be funny and light. We got this joke. What do you think? He's like, yeah, I'll read that for you guys. That's when you see it, that's what it felt like.
But it is, even if it's played out like you just said, the fact that he was comfortable saying, yeah, I'll take a shot at KD, no problem.
What's anybody going to say?
But it's like when he reads his dad jokes. Like, they're funny, but they're not his dad jokes.
Right. He's funny. He's super likable. I like that he was willing to poke KD in the spot where KD is most sensitive.
KD sensitive a lot of areas.
Well, but he's particularly sensitive to the
moving around,
been on the bus, not driving the bus. That clearly bothers him, and that Giannis pushed on that bruise. I do like that.
Yeah.
Taylor?
Fact. It's a good burn. I'd like to think that it's real too. I love Giannis for all the reasons mentioned earlier. He's one that just riles things up, and he just kind of goes against what the current NBA player is today.
All right, so today is February 28th, end of the month of February, but we all know that every 4 years we have a leap day. So it would be cool to be born on February 29th, on leap day, so that you get celebrated every 4 years, but it's extra special. So it would be cool to be born on February 29th. Taylor, Fed or Cap?
I think Cap. I thought this was stupid. I knew somebody that was born on a leap day, and they'd always say, "Oh, yeah, I'm 3 or 4 years. I'm 4 years old." It just gets old real quick.
Trev?
Other than
kind of like it for that reason.
I think it's Cap because really, who cares? But we all have those little things, right? That when you go to a new job, you have to say, here are 3 things about me that you don't know. That you were born on February. Fun facts, yes. Born on February 29th is kind of a fun fact, right? Like my son's actual birthday is 01/01/01. That's his birthday.
That's very cool.
But it's the same kind of thing. It's just a mathematical fluke that's the day it landed on. Doesn't make him more interesting or anything. It's just, it's kind of a cool little fun fact.
One of one, yeah.
Cap.
01/01/01.
Yes.
Berg?
It's Cap because I don't want to be 4 years old. I don't like that joke. I think it's ridiculous and stupid. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, how do you celebrate a birthday when that's your day? Do you do it the day before, the day after?
Take your
do you
pick.
get to choose?
Both.
Yeah, I mean,
you get the 28th and the 1st.
Right. You get a birthday weekend instead. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I love the fact that I have my day. That's for me. It's my birthday.
Yeah.
If I don't get it every year, it kind of sucks, right? There's no days that you have that are just for you except for your birthday.
Okay, I'm gonna go fact, and this actually falls in. I got an aunt it's got probably 20 different cousins that are on this chain, and she basically she'll text when it's somebody's birthday. So today I did not know it was my cousin Sarah's birthday until people started saying, well, technically it's not her birthday today because she's the 29th.
Oh,
she's the leap year. She's one of those. Plus, Cousin Slee's birthday today as well.
Oh,
so
happy
he's
birthday, Cousin Slee.
He's an actual
How
20.
exciting.
He's an actual 28th, February 28th.
Right.
But I you know how people do this, and I'm not one of these. It's my birthday week.
No,
it's my birthday weekend. It's my birthday month, whatever people say.
One day.
I'm with you on the one day, but it's such a unique thing because it's only happening once every 4 years. I think it'd be kind of cool.
I got 2 more suggestions for you, but I can do them on the other side for you, Alan, because I think you'll like the other 2.
You sounds like
Your
you
Honor.
sold them on Your Honor.
That one sounds
Shrinking.
Sounds really good.
So, Al, you just found something that had an actual timeline for LeBron to be reevaluated. So that could potentially mean something, or we're still waiting for the one phrase that I would very much like to hear that we haven't heard. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 7.
At least you didn't eat it like Mace. You're good.
Your Tuesday reacting to the latest on LeBron as the Lakers get ready to battle Memphis today. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. and the latest on Gavin Lux. We're reacting and talking about it all day long right here. LA's mega sports station 710 ESPN right now. More of Travis and Sliwa.
Hopefully, Alan Sliwa's name, Travis Rogers' name, Emily Hebel, Taylor Smith, none of you guys get added to the rather extensive injury list at the pickleball event that is coming up here in just a few weeks, Slee. March 18th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley at the Agape Pickleball Center. You can come out and watch all of us goof around, play a little pickleball, press the flesh, and just get to hang out a little bit on a Saturday afternoon. Reserve seating is available at espnla.com. Of course, it is available to the general public, so come on out. Big thanks to our pals at Michelob Ultra, Bud Light Seltzer, and Pizza Hut. And you're thinking, I don't know if I really want to watch Trav and Slee play pickleball.
You kidding me?
You do.
Yeah.
You absolutely want to do that. But you're thinking, there's college basketball. We'll have a lot of TVs out there.
Yep.
You can come and watch that. There's a beer garden. There's a kid zone. There's Pop-A-Shot. There's pickleball demos and lessons. There's a live DJ. There's entertainment. There's prizes. There's giveaways. There's photo booths. You will have a great time. If you went to the softball game, you know how awesome that was. If you didn't go to the softball game, you know how awesome that was because you missed it. Come on out. Pickleball Madness Tournament, March 18th, 10 to 4, Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley.
Okay, a couple things there. Number one, Lakers have a game that Friday night at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
Can I show up at 11, or do I have to be there at 10?
We'll get a late draw.
Can I get an extra hour?
We'll get a late draw.
Okay,
We
that's
won't be
number
opening
one. The
that.
second thing, I swear on my life, if San Diego State loses in the first round again, and if it's on that Saturday, I'm going to hallucinate.
Did I tell you I'm going to a game this weekend?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Who they have?
I have no idea.
They did clinch the Mountain West, so that's done. Number 18 in the country and still have not had a tournament win, I think, in 37 years. Not literally, but since Dutcher took over, they can't win a tournament game.
It's Dad's weekend at Kelly
Oh, yeah,
Sorority.
very nice.
So, what's that, Em?
Wyoming. They're playing Wyoming.
They're playing Wyoming. Thank you. Go Aztecs over Cowboys. But, yeah, I've never been to a Dad's weekend. So she says to me, she says, hey, I got us matching shirts. I'm thinking,
Aw.
okay. And she goes, she knows me, obviously, pretty well. She goes, will you wear it? I said, do you want me to wear it? Yeah. I said, then I'll wear it. She goes,
Done.
okay, great.
Done.
I got matching shirts. It's
Done.
It's awesome. We're going to have a great time.
love
She's laying out all the timeline.
that your daughter goes to San Diego State.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's great.
I did something similar with my dad when I was in college.
Yeah.
So we did this like dad-daughter day with my sorority especially, and then we went to a UVA college baseball game. So we did like bagels and like had like a brunch. Oops, sorry.
There's that. There's a brunch.
At the house, and then we went to the UVA baseball game afterwards. It
Okay.
was raining, unfortunately, but it was a really fun game.
Do you have the same question that I have? She said they had bagels. Mm-hmm. Was it a bagel sandwich or just a bagel?
Just bagels.
Just bagel. Oh, so this one was just bagel.
bagels.
Okay. Look, now I can't tell the difference.
It's impossible. Like if I told you we had bagels, you would think cream cheese, maybe a little butter.
The first thing I thought of when she said bagel, I'm like,
Bacon,
was
egg,
it,
cheese
was it
sandwich.
stacked? Was it like, sounds like an amazing sandwich.
Bagel with cream cheese isn't a bagel sandwich. So just,
No, we're not
just
good.
bagels.
We don't need to go over this again.
But-
we're on the same
Some
page.
calls.
Yeah, we're you and I are good, right, Al? We understand the difference.
Well, I just wanted, because in the past she mentioned bagel, and she said that it was likely that it's a
Al,
sandwich.
I just said we don't need to go over this
Anyway.
again.
And I just needed the details. Yeah.
Okay, but briefly, two shows I think you also might like.
'Kay.
They're going to be short. They're 30-minute episodes. It's Rami, which is based off of the real story of the creator Rami, and he's a first-generation Egyptian immigrant in New York City, and it's very kind of funny / dramatic and about the kind of coming to America kind of stuff. And then
A
the
little
bear,
Middle Eastern tie there. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
The Bear, everyone loves that. It's about a chef at a Chicago-based sandwich restaurant, and it's really, really interesting. Again,
I've
quick,
heard about
kinetic.
this one.
Yes.
I've heard about this one, and
Only
I've heard
one season.
really mixed. I've heard some people that love it,
Yeah.
like absolutely think it's genius, and then
I
love
haven't
it.
heard anybody that doesn't like it besides Berg, and I also
Yeah.
don't trust Berg's opinion about most TV shows and movies.
What
but,
about bagel sandwiches for him?
What was his recommendation?
Shrinking, which you can check out if you want. But do you have Apple TV Plus? That's what most people's barrier to entry is. They don't have
It's
Apple
getting
TV.
expensive,
You
man.
probably do.
Showtime, Apple
They're probably
TV
digging
Plus.
you for the $15 a month. You don't even know.
Got everything.
The Bear
By the way,
and
these are good
The
recommendations.
Bear and Rami are both on Hulu, so you probably have Hulu, and they're 30-minute episodes, and they're very short seasons. So it's a quick little. You can do one a night or multiple a night.
Emily, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm gonna check in, and I'm going to give you 2 weeks.
2 weeks is perfect.
And I'm not going to ask you tomorrow. Hey, did you start the Bear? I'm not going to do that. And I'm not even
There's
going to.
36 Laker games in the next 2 weeks. Just
I'm
an
gonna,
FYI.
I'm going to give you 2 weeks. And
Yes.
Emily, you need to keep track of this. The Bear, Rami,
Your Honor and
Your
Rami.
Honor.
Yep.
And Shrinking. There are 4 shows that you got suggested or were given recommendations for. We'll see if you get to any or all of them.
She convinced me that I shouldn't listen to Greg, and I have always listened to Greg. I have never had an issue. All right, I'm going to go with her recommendations.
All right, we'll see if you.
I'm
going
to start with Your Honor. I want to start with that one.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that.
That'll be the. I think it'll hit you the best.
Okay, that's good. I like the premise of that.
LeBron James will be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
So now we got a number at least.
Okay, yeah. Yes. So 2 weeks from now, here we are. So this is Tuesday to Tuesday. It's the 14th of March. It will be a road game against the New Orleans Pelicans. It's in the middle of a back-to-back stretch of Pelicans in Houston. One of the handful of road games in the entire month.
Let's say he misses those 2 as well.
Yeah.
Did you count or no?
No, let's see.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9
Okay.
games.
So 9 before he gets reevaluated.
Reevaluated, not
Yep.
reinstated.
No.
Reevaluated.
Can I define? Let me help define reevaluated. I mentioned this before. AD, when he went out, remember it was mid-December, he got injured against the Nuggets. And it came out a couple days later that he's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. Okay? He didn't come back for 5.5 weeks. All right? So I'm just using that as an example. I know for every player it's different,
fair.
but the reason why I'm saying that is, like you just mentioned,
Austin Reeves was similar, right? He got reevaluated after a couple weeks,
and it
missed
probably
more
went
time.
2 more weeks.
Yeah.
It probably went 2 more weeks. Him and Lonnie were trying to come back at the same time. So the only reason why I set it up that way is it looks like at the minimum, if you got 21 games left, Bron's missing at least 10 of them.
Oh,
at the minimum.
Best.
At the
at
minimum.
Best.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next part, which I'm going to tie this back to the Dodgers in a weird way. One of the things that made me very nervous about Trey Turner not coming back to the Dodgers was that neither the Dodgers nor Trey Turner said, hey, listen, we're not talking about it right now, but we both expect to be able to get something done.
Yeah.
We both think that we know he wants to stay, we want to keep him, and we're working towards getting something done. That just leads, like, we're far apart on the money and things like that, but everybody's kind of on the same page. What no one is saying out of Lakerland, at least as of right now, and maybe in 2 weeks when there's a reevaluation, we'll get to hear it. I would love to hear from somebody. Look, we don't know exactly what this is or how long it's going to take, but we do think that we'll have him back at some point. Because at some point could be last game of the season, play-in tournament, first round of the playoffs, that just some light at the end of the tunnel, if they can kind of hold serve from where they are right now or actually do better than that, win some games, but that no one is saying, look, this doesn't sound like a season-ending thing. We don't expect him to miss the rest of the season in the postseason. We don't think he'll be ready to go until the beginning of next year. That none of those little road signs are out there, just optimistic road signs. It's not that he will, but hey, we're hopeful that he might be, that nobody's saying anything leads you to believe that 2-week reevaluation could come back with we're going to reevaluate him in 2 more weeks. And now you're basically at the end of the line.
A lot of times we look at, first off, it was Shams, it was Woj, it's Chris Haynes, multiple weeks. That's kind of what you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's use the 2 weeks. What the Lakers don't have, and they haven't had, we were talking about this before the All-Star break. Bron missed 3 games before the break. 3 games before the break. So there was already some issues that Bron was having. And we said 23 games left. I remember you and I were joking around. Not even joking around. We were saying, I said, hey, if Bron misses 5 or 6 games, do they make the playoffs? This is before anything happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
And my thought was, come on, how are they haven't shown that they can do that. If AD missed 5 or 6, they haven't really shown that they can do that. So you're looking at the situation that they're in, 3 games below 500. You got Memphis coming up tonight. I think by about 3:30 or so today, you'll have heard from Darvin Ham, and Darvin Ham will have given any information that you and I are looking for. Maybe he sheds a little bit more light. Maybe some of the stuff that you're talking about that you were hoping to hear, that Darvin Ham shed some of that light on it. Regardless, this is 21 games left. So it's the timetable is different today than it is if it was in November.
21 games, and you're not in. So you don't just have to kind of hold position. You need to do better than you've been doing over the remaining 21 games. Here's some cold, hard math about the Lakers without LeBron James. This season, they're 5-9 without him. Okay, it's a 30, let's call it 36% winning percentage.
Yep.
Okay. During his LA Laker career, he has a 36.5 winning percentage without LeBron. So without LeBron, they win slightly more than 1 out of 3 games. Slightly. It's basically 1 out of 3 without LeBron James. You win 1 out of 3 games without LeBron, not only are you not in, you're probably in 13th place by the time it all shakes out again. You probably drop back into that spot right ahead of San Antonio or Houston, that if that's what it is. The good news is the team that put together those 36% winning percentage teams is not the team you have moving forward. And one person that we've talked a ton about AD, talked a ton about LeBron, there is a name that we haven't said much that's a huge part of whether they can do this or not. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710.
fans' radio station.
Here we go. Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa. Travis and Sliwa is on for your Tuesday. We're here each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We begin 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. And cue the music, please. What a tough Tuesday it is to be an LA sports fan. Slee, we feel you. The latest on LeBron out at least 2 weeks to be reevaluated. Doesn't sound good, kids. And Gavin Lux is out for the season for the Dodgers after his injury yesterday during a spring training game. We are reacting. We're trying to put a smile on your face, and we're trying to be positive, yo. So let's gather around for a Tuesday and get through it together. Travis and Sliwa, your Tuesday right now.
Trying to be positive. Hard to be positive on a day like today where Gavin Lux officially done for the season with a torn ACL in his right leg. LeBron James has a foot injury that, by the way, Gavin Lux has a torn ACL. He will be gone for the entire year. You know what that means. You know what that repair is. You know what the recovery time is. You can kind of say, okay, we're going to see Gavin Lux in spring training next year, and here we go. The LeBron portion of all of this, that he's got a foot injury. Well, what is it? Nobody's really saying. Maybe and maybe they're not saying it. Maybe they don't know, which would be even scarier. And how long is he be gone? I don't know. We'll ask again in 2 weeks. That's actually scarier than knowing exactly what the injury is. Like when Walker Buehler last year, Blake Trinan, well, they're going to try to come back. They're not going to do surgery. They're going to do this, that, and the other. And then finally it's like, no, they need to go cut him open and fix it again. Like, all right, at least I know when to expect him back. With LeBron, if you're being optimistic, maybe he comes back before the end of the season. Maybe the Lakers can keep their head above water. But the fact of the matter is, you just don't know when he's going to show up again.
So, listen, I don't know the effect of this, but I think it's safe to say when you're 20 years into your career, when you're still playing 36 minutes a game, when you're still averaging 30 points a game, of course, things like this are going to eventually catch up. We saw it right before the All-Star break, missing 3 games. It's like, well, Bron would not miss these games unless there's a real issue. Look at the situation that the Lakers are in. I'm going to go back to something that just kind of, I think this will bring it a little bit full circle for just this season, just this year, okay? Lakers started the season out 2-10. Anthony Davis went through a stretch where he missed 5.5 weeks, something along those lines. Lakers have been playing catch-up the entire time. Bron obviously desperately wants to get back in the playoffs. He doesn't know how many more cracks at the bat that he's going to have. He just doesn't. That's what Bron is doing in his 20th year. It's not, we've said this plenty of times, Kareem wasn't having this much success. Jordan, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Dirk, go down the list of players that are doing it. And especially when you're trying to play from behind the entire time, things like this not only happen, but things like this, the expression of father time and everything else, I think we're pretty fortunate that Bron has been playing as much as he has been playing, and him missing 2 weeks or being reevaluated in 2 weeks really shouldn't be a surprise for any type of injury at this age.
No, it's not surprising, but it's no less crushing.
Yeah,
right.
Deflating,
it's deflating is a good word, too, that this is... And gosh, I don't even like to say it like this, but this felt inevitable. It really did. And you were hoping that they could get to the end of the line. You were hoping he could stay healthy. You were hoping that AD would come back and be as good as he was against Dallas a few nights ago. And maybe over the final 6 weeks of the season, you just crossed your fingers and toes and everybody gets to the end of the line in one piece and they're in.
Yeah.
But like you just said, you're asking a guy in his 20, it's literally unprecedented. It's not like, well, we've never seen this before. We've never seen a guy in his 20th season average 30 a night. We've never seen him have to average 30 a night. We've never seen a guy in his 20th season averaging 30 a night have to go out there and maybe even outkick that to have a chance to win a game and play heavy minutes night after night after night. We were talking about this from Thanksgiving thereabouts. Like, hey, at some point these minutes have to become a concern, right? And I don't know if the 1 + 1 = 2, that the minutes equaled the injury, but it certainly couldn't have helped. And here we are. Home stretch. They're basically as close as they've been since the beginning of the season to 500.
Yeah.
They just put together their best win of the season. And you turn around the next day, and the most important part of this puzzle is down for an indeterminate amount of time.
They've won 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah.
They're 4-1 since the trade deadline.
What was the word we were using yesterday? Optimism, momentum, hope. Hey, look, I know that they've still got some work to do, but this is not an impossible task. What they were trending towards was not a 1 in a 10 shot. It was not a 1 in 50. This was like a 1 in 3, a 1 in 2. It felt more, like they had a chance to get in there. He's down. AD is here for the time being. We'll see, but knocking on wood, hopefully he stays healthy. Guy that we haven't talked a ton about.
Yeah.
He's not going to play tonight. I believe I saw that. D'Angelo Russell not only needs to be good, he needs to be very good, borderline excellent over these last 21 games if they're going to be able to stick around and close some ground without LeBron James. Because I think we've come to the conclusion Anthony Davis isn't going to do it by himself. Very few people can. And for better or for worse, D'Angelo Russell's the second best player on this team as currently constructed. And he's going to have to be that guy every single night.
So I think there's a couple things that I personally would not count the Lakers out of getting one of those playing spots. Okay? Playing spots. Let me emphasize that. A playing spot. 7 to 10, right? I would not personally count the Lakers out of one of those playing spots. What would you
go? 1 in 4? 1 in 5?
No, better than that.
Better than that.
And I'll tell you why. So let's just say you're trying to get to that 10th spot.
Okay.
This isn't just on the Lakers, but I think there's a lot of curiosity of what this team can do because, Trev, we've seen 5 games with these new players. So Jared Vanderbilt had a game where he was excellent. Beasley had a game that he was excellent. D'Angelo Russell is a good NBA basketball player. Good. I'm not saying he's a good basketball player.
Yeah.
But there's literally only been 5 games that we've seen this team. So, or with this iteration of this team. The reason why I think the Lakers can go get that number 10 spot, even if Bron is out for a few weeks or whatever the case is, just help me understand this one. Do you have confidence in the Oklahoma City Thunder that they're a dangerous team? They're 4 games below 500. They've lost 3 in a row. Shea is out today. He might be out tomorrow against the Lakers. And they've also owned the Lakers, just so you know.
Right.
I don't think you wouldn't be shocked if the Thunder faded a little bit. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll buy that.
The Portland Trailblazers, they have Damian Lillard. They have
win games by himself.
They have one of the better players in the entire NBA. They're also 29 and 31, and that's kind of who they are. They'll be a game, maybe 2 above, game or 2 below 500. The Pelicans, Zion, they don't know when he's coming back. Have lost 4 in a row. At one place, we're in second place in the West. Now we're 10th. Yesterday, I'm doing Lakers talk yesterday. They're playing the Orlando Magic, the Pelicans and the Magic. And I'm like, all right, well, Lakers aren't going to pick up a game there. Orlando beat them by 8 in New Orleans. So there's another team that you can't really have a lot of confidence for. The reason why I set it up that way is, let's say Golden State gets in because they're healthy. Let's say Minnesota gets in because Karl Anthony Towns gets back. Basically, you're asking between the Jazz, the Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Thunder, there's 2 spots available. There's a team that at least we've looked at for a quick second. I love what you said about D'Angelo because I don't disagree at all. The problem is D'Lo got injured 2 games ago and has missed 2 straight games. Doubtful to go today. They got 2 over these 2 nights. I actually think they could grab one of those 10 spots, but what you have hoped for and what Laker fans have been talking about, can we just build a team? I think they have a team. The question's going to be, can D'Lo be healthy enough to be a part of that?
I do think they've built the best team that they've had in quite some time as far as like the team structure. But all those things you said about those other teams are true. Here's what's true about the Lakers. Their best player's gone. Their second best player is the most unreliable second best player maybe in the league, right, in Anthony Davis. That, I don't know. I mean, he could be great. He could be not. I don't know.
Or the second best player on a team.
Could be. But Anthony Davis is not money in the bank. It's, I don't know, man. Maybe it will. Maybe I don't know. Their third best player hasn't played in the last 2 games because he's hurt. He's not going to play tonight.
Son of a biscuit.
So, right?
Yes.
That's the problem. So you're laying out all the reasons that the Lakers have a chance, but the reality of the Lakers right now is they're banged up too. You're going to have to get D'Angelo Russell.
D'Lo's got to be there.
He's got to be there, and he's got to be good.
Yeah.
It can't just be he's there and he's hobbling around and he's okay. Anthony Davis needs to be an A. D'Angelo Russell needs to be an A. That whoever you're going to find more, whether it's Rui or Austin Reeves or whatever,
2 of them got to show up a night.
It
doesn't matter which 2, but 2 of them got to come every night.
Yeah, that's a lot because those guys, Rui and Reeves and Beasley, and they're role players in the NBA. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're less good, and this is what it is. The stuff that you know you're going to get, you don't know that you're going to get. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get with AD. I don't know what I'm going to get with D'Lo. That's the reality of where they are right now.
Is there a little bit like for me there's a little fascination here because there's intrigue.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because I haven't seen any of this. There was intrigue if Braun was playing tonight.
Yeah.
There was intrigue because it's like they've only played 5 games together. There's intrigue because there are what you feel like real role players that fit, that match this, that. But then again, I think it's kind of funny. I don't think you need to be 5 games over 500 to go get that 9 or 10 spot.
It feels like right at 500 is the number.
I agree.
Yeah.
So there are going to be there are teams every single night that are showing you they're not that good, and then the Lakers can't really catch a break from a health
If 500 is the number, and we both think that it is,
they're 3 games below.
They're
500.
3 games below and have played really well to get there, and they just lost LeBron
and
James.
21 games left.
Right. And the reality of it is they typically don't win.
I'm just going to keep drinking coffee.
When LeBron doesn't play. Mark in Glendora, you're up next. Mark, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's going on?
I love your show, guys. It's a great show.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that we're living through the education of Rob Pelinka. I just have 2 real quick points. He got rid of Zubats. He got rid of Caruso. He got rid of Monk, who just scored how many? 50. He added Russ. He got lucky by getting Vando. Beasley is a who knows, and you don't know what D'Lo either. So my point is this. Can we just get off the drugs of LeBron and AD? You've already kind of said it. Next year, we're stuck this year, where it's $100 million sitting there. Maybe some team suckers will take the 2 of them, and you get some draft picks, and you get $100 million bucks. We can't do this again next year, guys. The drugs have to end now. This is an intervention. Please, we're talking about next year now, and let's get off the drugs here. It's time to move on. It's a real business. Thanks.
Well, you're welcome, Mark. A couple of things here. I want to go start with where you started with Rob Pelinka, that Rob Pelinka made a bunch of bad decisions. He made a bunch of good ones. Like the last ones were better, and hopefully we're trending in the right direction of roster building, not hunting roster building.
I think what people are saying, they wish those deals went down 30 games ago, right? Like that would be I don't think it was available, but
not that they could have, but had you had this roster 30 games ago,
you're
got
fighting
some
for 5.
You've got a runway.
5 and 6, yeah.
Right? And even if everything plays out exactly the same, you've probably crawled your way back into the picture. LeBron goes down. Now you just got to tread water.
Sure.
Put that aside for a second. Yeah. I think the other question that you just put out there is the single most difficult decision that the Lakers are going to have to make for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
Is this our future or not? Is the tandem of LeBron James and Anthony Davis going to be the centerpiece of what we try to run as a championship caliber team for the next season or 2 or beyond? Or if we're seeing what we're seeing right now, if we've seen what we've seen for really the last 2+ years, clearly,
did you maximize already? Are the days of the
don't make more bad bets? You hit a bit. You got a jackpot. You won a title, but don't chase this. All the data is telling you it's not happening. Don't chase the thing that's not happening. Move on to the next thing. Laker fans, this idea that Laker fans won't tolerate, yes, they will. Laker fans are kind of split into 2 groups. The crazy delusional ones that think that no matter what's going to happen, it's all going to turn out, and the ones that are a little bit more like, hey, listen, I understand that we got one with LeBron. AD isn't exactly what we thought we were getting, but we got to go find whoever's next. Let's start getting ready for whoever's next. And they're not going to go anywhere. Are they going to turn into Phoenix Suns fans? They're not. They're Laker fans. They're going to be here. Trust them that they will trust your vision. Now, whether he's the right guy to put the vision together, that's a whole other thing.
All right, let's do this. I know we got a ton of calls, a lot of Laker fans that want to weigh in. I want to respond to that because I think the AD piece to me is the most interesting because AD is the player that technically you still have 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is. Do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
And for the ones who get it done, great. All right, we're reminding you that Pickleball Madness, or March Pickleball Madness, is coming up on March 18th at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. It's free for all non-participants, and there's a million things to do, Al.
All right, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come out, hang out. We do these events every time we do them. We love having listeners there. We got our Papa Shot Challenge. We got a beer garden going on. So we got everything going on. Don't forget that day.
Games for the kids. Bring the kids on out. It'll be a great time. You'll watch me and Al just wipe the floor with everybody because we're pickleball experts.
We'll be out in the first round.
LeBron as the Lakers get ready to battle Memphis today. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. and the latest on Gavin Lux. We're reacting and talking about it all day long right here. LA's mega sports station 710 ESPN. Right now, more of Travis and Sliwa.
Just flipped over to the Dodger channel here in the studio. Slee, they're playing the Cincinnati Reds today. And look, we've been doing this a long time, you and I, and injuries are a part of this, and there's some that land a little differently than others. And the Lux one just really sucks because he's been in the lineup for a couple of years, but he was never kind of a featured player in this. He earned his way into it. He got the starting job with the Dodgers at shortstop, and then 4 seconds into spring training, he blows out his ACL.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's kind of the storyline so far. And sometimes when a season starts out that way, you say to yourself, like, oh, no, is this how it's going to go? Like, does it set this, like, tone the rest of the way? I don't have an answer for you. I'm just saying that to have a key piece like that, somebody that you were also going to probably put as your leadoff guy.
Certainly in the top 3 or 4.
I was hearing Lux, Mookie, Freddie was how they were going to do at least the first 3. The fact that also, too, that you lost that position in the offseason with Trey Turner, Corey Seager the year before, it was a real opportunity for him. And he's not going to be known as the greatest defensive player, but you know what he's going to be known as? He can swing the bat.
And he's going into a season where the shift is gone, where all of a sudden, especially as a left-handed hitter, that left-handers are going to benefit more from the shift being, eliminated than right-handed hitters are. Everybody will benefit left-handers more than right-handers. He can run. I think we might see an increase in stolen base attempts because of that. The one rule that I don't like that they've implemented, you can only pitch twice. I don't love that. I'll learn to live with it, whatever.
Okay.
But that feels like the rules were really going to favor him, right? Like these were rules that would be very beneficial to him, and he's done for the year.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers aren't nearly as deep. They're far more like a regular team than they've been in the last couple of years. I've said this to you a couple of times. Going
nice
back
job,
to
Travis
last season.
and Slee. We're just depressing all of Southern California.
Well, it is what it is.
Today.
I mean, it is depressing. But here's optimism.
Okay.
You ready? And I've said this to you before. If I were the Braves, if I were the Padres, the Mets, the Phillies, the other good team, and the Dodgers have been this quiet for this long, I go, what are they going to do? They're not going to do nothing. Now, it may not be until the trade deadline where there's an Ohtani thing, or it might not be until the end of the season if it's an Ohtani thing. But the Dodgers are not just going to sit around and let everyone else collect all of these great players and then just go, we didn't get anybody. They're going to do something. And maybe this speeds it up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But you need to either put some of those young guys out there and see what you got, or you need to use some of those young guys to go out there and find somebody that you know is a major league caliber player.
Well, you said something about the young players that they're not going to have a choice, right? We're going to have to see some of these young players this year, period. But I wonder also if this could be just that in-between year. Could this be just one of those in-between years that you're going to put out a good product? You'll be more surprised that the Dodgers don't make the playoffs than if they do.
Oh, for sure.
And once you get in, you get in, and plenty of teams have shown that anything can happen once you get in. I wonder if this could be one of those years for the Dodgers where, like you said, they're not going to just sit around and do nothing, but maybe they're timing. Maybe they are going big game hunting. Maybe it is Ohtani, and they got to be incredibly smart through this season to prepare themselves for that. That could be the situation as well.
You said something that kind of sparked a thought. That the Dodgers lost Trey Turner, that Justin Turner signed with the Red Sox, that they're kind of shopping in the bargain aisle of the store with J.D. Martinez and Noah Syndergaard. You lose Gavin Lux, right? Walker Buehler's done for probably the vast majority of the season. You're missing some guys, right? And I think we would all be shocked if the Dodgers didn't make the playoffs. That's how much.
Agree. Ahead of everybody they were?
Yes, and how many assets you actually had that you could lose what I just laid out and still be like, not only will they probably make the playoffs, they're probably at worst an even pick with the Padres to win the division. That's pretty good organization. They'll figure it out. It's bad news for the Dodgers. It's really bad news for Gavin Lux personally, but I still have faith in that.
You have a little excitement in your life in the middle of July now.
Get to watch a little bit of something, a little trade deadline action.
And, you might be in a situation where not every night is a guaranteed win.
Well,
it might be 3-2 instead of 6-2.
I did like the 111 wins. Don't get me wrong. That was fun.
I don't know. I swear during the season you're like, yeah, they won. What's going to happen in October? I'm like, Trav, it's literally June 8th.
Super fun season.
Super fun.
It was right up until it wasn't. Riverside and Richard. Richard, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's going on?
How you doing? Always enjoy you guys' show.
Thank you.
In training camp, Darvin Ham, his theme song was, "We are going to be a great defensive team. We're going to put forth the effort on that end of the court. Everybody's going to be held accountable." It was new. It was fresh. It sounded good. But as you both know, we haven't seen that consistently so far this season. And number two, he's referring to AD as Wilt Davis. Well, I'll tell you guys, if he played like he played the other night against Dallas, I'm holding out hope that we can get to the playoffs. That and this team, as is put together now, they're going to have to consistently play some defense.
Richard, I'm going to jump in, and I appreciate you calling in. So a couple things here. The AD piece, I think I disagree with some of what Laker faithful think can get them into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree that Anthony Davis has to be a really good basketball player. I want to make sure that I'm pointing that out. But I got a couple of these last night on Lakers Talk, and then we've got a couple calls on this. Those who are saying, hey, this is AD's time. Hey, AD's going to take over from here, and he's going to get them into the playoffs. I'm not saying that doesn't need to happen, but I've also watched enough Anthony Davis to know that they need 5 or 6 guys to contribute for them to get there. That AD can be a player, and I think he's shown this before. He's not a selfish dude. The guy doesn't need to. He's not upset if the Lakers win the game and he only had 15 points. That's not Anthony Davis's personality. The guy wants to win, but I guess my roadmap to winning is different than somebody else's. Because if you're saying it's all on AD and AD is going to get to the promised land the way Joker and Giannis and Embiid and KD and some of these other players, I just don't land on that. No. I just don't. What I do think is AD can still have maybe a game like the Dallas Mavericks like he's talking about, but if Vanderbilt, Beasley, D'Angelo, Dennis, all these other guys don't do anything, and it's not kind of team constructed, I don't think it happens from there. By the way, I do think they're going to make the play-in tournament still. I believe so.
I hope they do. I'm skeptical. It just feels that what they've shown us without LeBron James over the last few seasons is they lose more than they win, and that feels like it's likely to.
Remember yesterday we were having this conversation? I felt like you were leaning towards you thought
I was
that it could happen, that they could get in the play-in tournament.
They had LeBron. And
no. This was when we were talking about potentially Braun missing some time. We didn't know how much time he'd missed. This is different today than it was yesterday. You're right about that.
It's a lot different. I want to go back to the first thing that he was talking about, the defense. We heard that Darvin Ham. I've said it to you a bunch of times, Al, that we're going to be a defense. No, they're not, and stop talking about it because they're just not. They're not a great defensive team. They're not going to turn into a great defensive team. So turn the page on that. Go to the next thing. You know what's really kind of embarrassing for Anthony Davis? That we can specifically point to the games that he was really good in. Right? Like that caller just said, you've done it, I've done it. Hey, if we get the AD we got against Dallas, if you said, hey, if we got the game where he was really good for Giannis, you'd be like, yeah, you need to be more specific. With Jokic, which good game? Embiid, which game? But we can specifically say, hey, he was really good against Dallas. Hey, remember, don't forget that game when he was in Portland. He was it's like, guys, we shouldn't be able to pinpoint when the good one showed up. Right. That we can specifically say, hey, that version of AD against Dallas, that by definition means it doesn't happen very often. If you can say, you wouldn't say, the one great meal you had at your favorite restaurant, you keep going back because it's always pretty good. But if you went to one place, one time it was all right. That's kind of what we're getting with. This idea that he's
you don't want hit and miss when you go to a restaurant.
No, you want what you want, and what you want with him is I don't know. I can't have the chef in a bad mood some days. I can't have the chef not give a damn on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and only have his game going on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Okay, it doesn't make any sense.
Do you agree with this? That this week, again, the D'Angelo piece changes everything too, because that's a key piece. This week they got 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play 88 games in the next month, okay? You got 4 games this week.
You only got 21 left, maybe.
That, by the way, I think that part is kind of crazy that there's only 21 games left in the season, but 4 games this week. You're at Memphis, you're at OKC. Minnesota at home, Golden State at home. There's life without LeBron James, at least for X amount of games, at least X amount of time. You got 6 new players that you brought in from Rui all the way to the Mo Bamba trade.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fascination of what these 4 games are going to look like. 2 of them are going to be at home. One of them is against Thunder. We'll see about Shea. I mean, tonight you could pretty much chalk up as the Memphis Grizzlies are going to do what the Memphis Grizzlies
They're
do.
going to have a hard time tonight.
I'm assuming, right? I'm kind of fascinated what this week goes like. If they go 1-3, then you have a pretty good idea of probably what the rest of the thing's going to look like. If they went 2-2, which is very, that can happen as well. Then you're kind of all right. Can you now hang without Braun being in there?
So there's the 21 games remaining this season, and then there's what happens after that. I think we're gonna have an answer on that as well. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710.
At least you didn't eat it like Mace. You're good. Oh.
Everybody that somebody is hurt in LA right now, it seems like. Gavin Lux down for the season with a knee injury. LeBron James is out indefinitely to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Am I the only one that thinks it's crazy that not knowing what the injury is makes me far more nervous about what it might be? Like if Gavin Lux, I know he's done for a year.
Yeah.
I know he'll be back. I know that this is the path of what an ACL rehab looks like. With LeBron, we don't even know what it is. If you said it's a Liz Frank, okay, that's a year. If you said it's a torn plantar fascia, okay, that's 3 months. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
at least you know that, we'll let you know when we know, which we won't even start to look again for another couple of weeks. Doesn't fill me with confidence.
Does this have more to do with we're just so accustomed to having that information right in front of us right at that time, and because it's not there, then we just start making up stories in our own head? This is an awful example, okay? But let's say with Susan, your partner, when you don't know what she's mad about, but you know she's mad, and you're like, can I just get some more information, please? But they're not really kind of giving you, it's the vibe, it's this. I'm like, I'm
not mad.
I'm not mad.
Uh-oh.
Rather than when they say, I'm mad because you didn't do this. You're like, oh, I feel better now.
Yeah.
I have that info.
You told me you were going to fix the garage. You know what? I did and I didn't. I'll get it fixed tomorrow. My bad.
Yep.
No, I'm not mad. Oh.
No, everything's fine.
Wonderful.
Why are you going upstairs early? I'll read this. Shams put this out there. FanDuel TV does a show on there. LeBron is expected to miss an indefinite amount of time. I'm told likely at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Getting a little trickle in.
By the way, if you could buy 3 weeks right now, wouldn't you take it?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
3 weeks gives you 3 more weeks
left. Gives you
left.
3 weeks on the back end, which
Right.
would be 1, 2, 3,
10.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games.
Okay.
9 games to go does not feel great, but look, maybe you're 2 games out with 9 to go with LeBron James. Here's the other thing.
These other teams, I'm telling you, Trev, they're not going. Nobody's, I think, going to run away.
I don't
with
think
it.
so either.
Yeah.
But neither are the Lakers. Right? They're going to the Lakers. Nobody's going to run away with it. I agree, but I think there could be some teams that sink. Right? Like let's say Portland holds serve. They stay right around.
I got a feeling
500.
Portland and Utah will probably stay serve.
Yeah,
they'll stay in that position, but the Pelicans are in a free fall right now.
Here's the thing that I think is both interesting and potentially really upsetting for Laker fans, and that is these remaining 21 games that may or may not be LeBron James free, but at least for the next couple of weeks they are. We've said it before. We were talking about it a minute ago. Can Anthony Davis be the guy that keeps you in it until LeBron comes back? We're going to know the answer to that pretty quick. Like you were saying, the next 4 or 5 games, we're going to have an idea whether or not that's even remotely a possibility. If it is, let's say he does. Let's say he's really good. Okay, not crazy. And let's say that LeBron does continue to miss more time, that it's not that 2 or 3, maybe it's 5 or 6, 4 or 5. But Anthony Davis is good enough to get you into the play-in, maybe win a play-in game, maybe get yourself into a playoff spot. And he just showed, you know what, I can carry this water for you for the better part of a month and a half. I think you feel a lot better about what's coming up after that for the following season. Even if the Lakers, let's say they go run into Golden State in the play-in and they get beat. Okay, that's fine. But Anthony Davis got us to the play-in, played well throughout the process. I feel a lot better about throwing in with Anthony Davis moving forward, where if the opposite happens, let's say the Lakers, let's just for round numbers, let's say they got 20 games left, right? And they win 6 of them. They go 6-14 without LeBron James. And AD's
the Blazers and the Utah Jazz grab those 9-10
with
slots.
9 wins. Okay?
Yeah.
That's when you say, not only are we screwed for the remaining part of this season, what exactly have we bought moving forward for the future? LeBron's not getting younger. LeBron's not going to be less injury prone in year 21 than he was in 20. 20's been worse than 19. 19 was worse than 18. Presumably 21 will be worse than 20. So what do you do now? If you get the answer that none of us want, that AD just simply is not up for this, that's not just bad news for this season. That's bad news for the future of the Lakers.
So I think this is a question you got to ask yourself. I think the definition of how you perceive Anthony Davis, because my perception of Anthony Davis has adjusted over the years, okay? So he's missed 24 games this year. He's played in 37, all right? Last season, let me take the last 2 seasons combined. He missed 50% of the games in those following 2 seasons, okay? The year that the Lakers won the championship, he was obviously there for that stretch run, him and LeBron and everything else. I don't view, and I never really have viewed Anthony Davis, even when the question was coming up as LeBron James is going to eventually pass the baton to Anthony Davis. In my eyes, it was, he's going to pass it to him, but then who is he going to hold the baton with? That it's not like, I don't view
Even
Anthony
when
Davis.
They originally acquired him from New Orleans, you were thinking, okay, LeBron and AD, great, but when LeBron is finally done, AD is going to need a guy?
I think you always need a guy in the league.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a guy.
Is he the main guy? Is he the alpha, the guy that you can say, hey, that's the number one and go from there?
He needs help. He isn't the help.
Yes. When they first traded for AD, I did not think that.
Yeah.
When they won the championship in the bubble, I did not think that.
Right.
Since that moment, I've thought that. I've thought that, yes, if Bron's going to hand the baton to Anthony Davis, cool. AD's going to grab the bottom of the baton, and then he's going to take the longer end and say, who's going to hold this with me? Rather than Bron saying, I got this thing. I've done it my entire career. Kobe saying, I got this thing. I've done it my entire... Shaq. My personal perception on Anthony Davis has been he's got to have somebody as good as him or better. And by the way, there's a lot of great players in the NBA that need something like that.
Yeah.
Like we used this example a little bit earlier. Dame's an unbelievable player. He needs a player like Anthony Davis with him. Luka's an unbelievable player. How do you win a championship or go compete with one without having a player like Anthony Davis with you?
But that description, Al, and by the way, I'll sign up for that. That description is Anthony Davis is the help. He's not the guy that needs help, and that's where the Lakers would be. So instead of saying,
do you agree with it?
I do,
that's how I feel about it.
I do. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. It's not just that, hey, we got our future. We don't. We have whoever the futures is running mate. That we have Powell. We don't have Kobe. That we have James Worthy. We don't have Magic Johnson. That you need a really good player, but not the best player. And there's no question about who the best player on the team is night in and night out. On any given night, sure. Could be anybody. But more often than not, LeBron James is the best player on this team. Anthony Davis needs to be the second best player. He's always going to be the second best guy. And who's the first best? And that's what's really scary, because when they made that deal, that was not the assumption. The assumption was he is the best guy, that we'll find him help, not that he is the help.
Yeah, and listen, I think we're always comparing. Remember after Lakers won the NBA championship and ESPN did their player ranking?
Mm-hmm.
It was 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. 1 was Bron, 2 was Anthony Davis. Now if you go do that ranking and you say who are the top 10 players in the NBA, Bron will still be in the top 10. Anthony Davis will not. That's the reality of it, right? So I understand. I think you described it the best. What a cool opportunity to see the Lakers right now in this stretch run where you don't have a choice, right? Like you're going to get, even if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks that LeBron's not there, AD with some good role players. I'm going to keep harping on this. D'Angelo has to be there. I really do think that's a critical piece. But we're going to get to see something that we haven't really got a chance to see at a time where they're making a run to get to the playoffs.
Let's go to Riverside again. We're big in Riverside, Al. Don in Riverside. Don, you're on with Travis Lee.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point of, I think it's a good thing that this happened, because I don't think we're going to win a championship anyways. As a Laker fan, we're always talking about we play for championships, not for playing tournaments, and that's all it's been since LeBron's been here. So we'll see what AD has right now. We'll see what these D'Lo could do with AD. So hopefully they could do something. And I think it's time to let LeBron go. And I think it's time to let AD go. In the future.
Well, I don't think
rebuilding.
Yeah, Don, I don't know if you can let LeBron go. LeBron's your best player, right? And I guess it depends on what the value is across the rest of the league. If somebody else wants LeBron James and is willing to give you a ransom to get him, okay, we can talk about that. But if it's just, hey, we got to move on from him, let's just clear space. Yeah. It's like, LeBron James is still your best player by a mile. I don't think you move on from him unless you really have a better idea what you're going to get.
Is it safe to say this, that and it's a big if, but if Anthony Davis these last couple of years played 70% of the games, okay, it would obviously be completely different. if Anthony Davis played 70% of the games, I don't know what percentage he is right now. He's obviously been in a lineup here the last
55 or 60,
something like that. I think it's safe to say that Bron is still doing unbelievable things. The hope was, as Bron got older, is that less. I think a big reason why the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook, right, a couple years ago, is because I thought the idea and the concept is you got another playmaker, you got someone that could take some pressure off of Bron, you got somebody that could push the ball up and down the floor. It was a colossal failure. We all understand that. But I think the last couple of years, the concept has been, can we take a little bit off Bron because he's getting older? And it actually has worked the other way. You've put more on Bron's shoulders.
Yeah, it's weird because I've never liked that philosophy to begin with, because what makes LeBron is he does have the ball in his hands all the time, that he is a good decision maker, he is a great passer, he is a great distributor, facilitator, and, oh, by the way, he scored more points than anybody in the history of the game. So why would you want to have him standing around waiting for somebody else to do it? I get your point that he could take, instead of being out of the game for 10 minutes a night, he could be out of the game 16 minutes a night. I get that, but why do I want my best player to be down less? And certainly not when you're playing with those other guys. They
Only
need to
because
find
of
the
age.
next best player.
Only because of age.
Yeah, I'm with that part, but I'm going to have LeBron. Who gets the ball? Him.
Well,
every time.
Here's
Give it to him.
Here's what's funny about the D'Lo piece of this. What Russ wasn't is he wasn't a traditional point guard.
Yeah.
What D'Lo is more of a traditional point guard
More,
that can
for sure.
actually shoot the ball and everything else that comes with it.
Pickleball, Slee. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
You're doing it Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday, Al's getting
out
on the court for the first time.
Pasadena.
I picture you out there with the goggles and
100%.
Like
I
the
got
knee
the
wraps
headband on, too.
and tank top. You're out there running around, short shorts, doing your thing.
Yep.
But we're going to be playing pickleball. By the way, we need to discuss uniforms. We still haven't kind of talked about what our team uniform is going to be going into this thing. You're going to have to come out. It is our inaugural Pickleball Madness tournament,
Turtlenecks.
March 18th. Hey, I've heard worse ideas. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. Reserve seating is still available. Register at espnla.com. The event is open to anybody who wants to come out. Come on out, hang out, watch the pickleball, have a drink or two. I'm certainly up for that with you. Thanks to our pals at Michelob Ultra, Bud Light Seltzer, and Pizza Hut. There's TVs to watch your college basketball. There's Pop-A-Shot. There's a kid zone. There's a beer garden. There's food. There's a DJ. There's entertainment. You will have a great time. We know how to throw a party here at 710. So come on out, March 18th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Agape Pickleball Center in Fountain Valley. And watch
Get out there
Slee
with us.
play in a tank top.
Yes.
Not a tank,
Turtleneck.
Turtleneck.
We're the first pickleball.
Black turtlenecks and black slack. It's like the opposite of Wimbledon in the 40s, where they would wear the white sweater and the white pants.
Has anybody ever done turtleneck with a tie? Just super choked up.
So you've seen those old,
I can't breathe.
Those old time golf pictures
Stop
where
complaining.
guys were playing in like the +4s, the knickers, and but like a vest and a tie.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to go play a little golf? Yeah, let me get my tie first before we. What the hell? Like you go those pictures. Like go look at some old pictures of Dodger Stadium in like the '60s. There's people in the stands in ties. Why are we doing that? It's a baseball game.
I'm in. Pickleball. That's what we're doing.
Going to take a flight to Phoenix. Let me get my suit on.
Which one's Travis and Sliwa? They're just right there. Travis got the tie on. Sliwa has a turtleneck on.
North American cuts for me, and you could have more of a.
Do we
Euro
get timeouts
cut,
or no?
Whether we take them, whether we get them or not. You guys can just start serving us off the court. We're going to go sit down and have
They've
a
used
Michelob
3
Ultra.
timeouts in the first 3 minutes of the game.
I think I'm going to place my Michelob Ultra in the kitchen while we play, because you can't go in the kitchen, and that way it'll stay nice and safe along the way. The Dump is coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 7.
Yes, it's time for the dump.
How about this,
Unbelievable.
Lee?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you got?
Unbelievable exchange. Went to the restroom. Matt Burke, one of the sales guys there, see him on the phone. He's probably closing a deal in the hallway. Turn the corner.
Say in the hallway.
Yeah, he
Glad
was
you
in the hallway.
clarified.
Yeah, in the hallway. In the hallway. Turn the corner, go into the restroom. I'm at one of the stalls. There's 2 stalls, and then there's the actual
2 urinals and then
or 2
stalls.
urinals and the 2 stalls. So I'm in one of the urinals. I know it's a lot of details. The next thing I know, Matt Burke pulls up next to me. Next thing I hear, Mace and Berg. Mace goes to one. Then I hear AK. AK goes to the other. It was a full restroom. There's 5 of us in there, and I left on my way out saying, we should do super crosstalk in here. And everyone started laughing, and the door closed, and I was out. So I think I left with a great impression in there. Because here's the thing, everyone was already there. The only person missing was you, so I could have texted you and just said, come to the restroom.
Just go try that one day, and I'll get out of here at 12:55, and you can take it all the way to 1:12.
Nothing like getting a good one in there and then the door shut.
It's like, got to know when you got to walk out on top, right? It's like George Costanza in Seinfeld. I'm out of here. And he leaves after dropping his one good line. Little Dodger update right here. Julio Urias faced 10 batters today, Slee. Okay. Got 8 of them out. He struck out 4. He allowed 0 runs and threw 41 pitches to 10 hitters. That's 4 pitches per guy.
My gosh.
His first Cactus League game is now finished. That according to Twitter.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Maybe this is a guy you don't yank his chain for a few years. Maybe he's somebody that we prioritize moving forward. Maybe you try to do everything in your power to make sure that he's happy. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, they don't really have a closer right now.
Hey, Julio, we know you got 10 guys out on 41 pitches. You want to pitch a 9th inning tomorrow? It's like, it's weird that because
you want to bring Evan Phillips in first for your start.
Did you see what Scott Boras said about the Dodgers and Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, I did.
That he was surprised that they non-tendered him coming into this. Basically, they cut him, right? That they weren't going to give him what he was expecting. And they basically said you can go find employment elsewhere. And Boras said,
I felt it was rather matter of the fact that he would continue with them because they had the rights over him. I had no idea they would non-tender him.
This feels... That's the first time I've ever heard Scott Boras say something. I'm like, come on, buddy.
Well, I was going to say, too, I'm like...
Did you not watch him play?
Yeah, but on top of that, I'm like, maybe you should get that information.
100% yes, but everybody that was paying attention knew that the Dodgers moving on from him was a possibility. I thought he'd stay. I really did. I thought that he would end up... They'd come up with a number and bring him back. I did think he was there.
Defensive purposes.
But the idea that it certainly was a possibility. The reason I bring it up is because it just seems like occasionally the Dodgers have something with one of their guys that's odd. Not necessarily bad, but just odd. And the relationship they seem to have with Julio is odd. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And, the danger in how they've used him, you said this before, he's a Boras agent, or Boras is his agent, correct?
Julio?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to hit the market. Once you hit the market, anything can happen. And you don't know if Julio has a certain feeling about the Dodgers
Can
right now.
I add one other thing in there?
Sure.
It also means if you're going to the market, there's one, I just want to maximize my value, which
Sure.
makes it.
Yep.
There's also look, I'm open to other places because I'm sure the Dodgers aren't going to nickel and dime him. It's not like they're going
Agreed.
to offer him 25% less than the next highest bidder.
Agreed.
They're going to be, at worst, really close. So if you're going out there, not only is it that extra 1% maybe that you get, but it's the 1% plus, you guys constantly jerking my chain.
And you could have just interest. Hey, I've never been an unrestricted or whatever free agent before. Let me see what that's about. Do you think because Julio threw 41, you said 40 pitches? 41. I'm waiting for tweets saying, why would Dave pull him out? Why would he take him out right now?
What are we doing? What's this analytics? Why are we doing Moneyball? Let him go. Let him go until somebody hits him, right?
You want to justify why he takes him out through 41?
You're going to like this one, Slee. Donnie Brasco came out on this day, February 28th, 1997. That's your movie.
How am I not watching Donnie Brasco tonight after the postgame show?
Well, you got to watch Your Honor or Twins or whatever the other one was.
Or
Not
Rami.
Twins. Rami. What was the one that Berg?
The Bear shrinking.
Shrinking.
Twins? That's the one with Schwarzenegger and
Yeah,
DeVito?
really? Hey, look, man,
That's good. DeVito has got.
I felt like there was
yeah.
something. I felt like I was close. Donnie Brasco.
Love Donnie Brasco.
Okay, so I know you're a Goodfellas guy.
Yeah.
I know you're a Godfather guy. Those are two classic mom
Yeah, it's
movies.
just great mom movies. Yep.
Donnie Brasco on that level or a cut below?
No, it's on that level.
It's really good.
It really is, and it's one of the more. I'm not saying that it's not well known, but it's not talked about like The Godfather. It's not talked about like Goodfellas. It's not talked about like Casino. It's just not. But I put it on that level. I enjoyed that movie enough. I thought Johnny Depp was amazing.
He was great.
It's really
You
good.
know what was great about that movie too? Al Pacino plays a loser. Like Al Pacino is usually the big, he's the big badass in these movies. He's the guy, the protagonist that you're kind of rooting for, the scary guy. He's a loser in Donnie Brasco, and he's kind of
keeps
pathetic.
asking to borrow money.
He's pathetic. He's got this crappy life that he thinks that he knows is crappy, but he's trying to pass it off like it's not. He knows he's not the boss. He knows he's not the golden child like Donnie Brasco. He's just kind of a schlub who's just going through it, thinking he's a big deal. See,
I love that movie.
I know movies, Emily. What else you want to know?
Yeah, what you confused shrinking and twins. I think it's just really funny that we kind of brushed over that.
Taylor, have you seen Donnie Brasco?
No,
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
He'd like it.
Yeah,
brushing over it again.
Yeah,
every time. Kevin Durant will make his son's debut tomorrow. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited what that's going to look like because when it went down, we're like, oh, all right, well, the Suns are the team to beat in the West. We still haven't seen it, so if he goes out there and that looks really good, and why wouldn't it? It's Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant's super easy to kind of integrate into your whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
I think we may have a very different opinion on the Western Conference 2 weeks from now if KD goes in there and kills it.
I think most people right now, if I ask 4 different people in here, hey, do you think's going to win the West? The Suns will be named off. Denver is not a sexy choice, even though they keep playing good basketball. I don't think Memphis is a sexy choice either. People are still talking about the Golden State Warriors. Hey, they just got to be healthy, put them in the mix, and they'll be fine. It's kind of fascinating to see the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, Durant's going to change a whole. Speaking of the Western Conference, Luka Doncic turns 24 today. How much money is that guy going to make by the time it's all said and done? The new TV deal comes up either is at the end of this year or end of next year.
I think it's 2 years. Yeah, probably the end of next year.
That means the players, whatever the new TV deal is, the players get half of that money, which means it goes up, which means the max goes up. If the max right now is roughly $50 million a year, what's Luka going to get? 70? 60?
Do you know what's funny is when players like Michael Thompson's time, or even a little bit after that, where they look at the contracts today and say, can you believe they were getting that much money? Will there be a time in 20 years where LeBron will be saying, can you believe they're getting that much money?
Of course.
There will be.
Okay, it always goes up. It always goes up. That when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing, the George Mikens are probably, I can't believe that Kareem's making $1 million.
$1 million.
Right.
$1 million.
You guys Magic signed that 25-year.
You're
like
too young
$1 million
to remember.
a year.
You might remember.
Like
There's a cover of Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
Where they listed like Nolan Ryan, he's kind of in his his motion,
right?
And it was baseball's $1 million man because he was the first guy ever to make $1 million in a season.
Now they're kicking around $400 million contracts.
Do you know what the average salary Major League average salary?
Well, I mean, probably $15 million.
It's less than that.
Less than that?
It's $4.5 million average, not minimum.
Average.
Average.
It's 60 for the Padres.
I want to know what the median is.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one.
The median one is interesting because then you
same
count
amount
out
as above
sort
and
of those,
below, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Median, moan, and mead. Mode, mean, I don't know. I wasn't very good at that.
It is mode and mean, probably.
There was mode, mean. They're all basically the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
But slightly
In other
different.
words, a lot.
A lot. I want to do this one, and it'll lead us into Super Crosstalk.
Cool.
Chris Rock is going to give his first in-depth remarks about Will Smith slapping him at the Oscars during a live stand-up special that will air on Netflix on Saturday. With that in mind, let's go to Super Crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles.
KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Oh no, I think I pulled a muscle doing my woo.
Careful.
Whoa.
Hey, it's going around.
Oh yeah,
Injuries
right
are
it's
abundant.
not contagious, exactly.
LeBron.
What a morgue-like atmosphere your show was.
I'm emotionally hurt. I'm out 2 to 3 weeks based on all the injuries.
Emotionally injured, yeah.
Somebody on Twitter today goes, dude, why are you being so negative? I'm like, what would you like to find positive about LeBron James being out indefinitely and Gavin Lux being done for the season?
Spin it, buddy.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome. Opportunity for Miguel Rojas. Let's go. Today's one of those days that there's not a lot to be thrilled about.
No. And by the way, we're supposed to reflect what's going on. People out there, if you're a Dodger fan, if you're a Laker fan, you're like, it's
the right emotion. You guys ready to hear Chris Rock?
We can be your therapist
Yes.
through all this, but you don't want a therapist who's lying to you.
No.
That's a terrible therapist.
And by the way, we call Tuesdays Truesday. So we will tell the truth during. It makes it sound like the rest of the show is BS all week long. But Tuesday is officially the day we lay it all out there.
You lie Monday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Monday,
Friday,
Wednesday, Thursday.
but
Don't
Tuesday.
trust us.
I believe it's perform the
Yes,
other days,
correct.
right? And then today is the day you're like, they're in deep trouble.
So you're going to ask about Chris Rock?
Yeah, so Chris Rock is hilarious. Chris Rock
he is.
one of the,
he's
best comedians of his generation.
Certainly.
There's him, there's Seinfeld, of that 90s and early 2000s. Those are the guys, right? The Will Smith thing was so bizarre. Like, I'm just worried that it's not going to live up to what I'm expecting because it's Chris Rock, who's awesome with one of the most bizarre moments that any of us have ever seen. I just feel like it's going to be weird to hear him talk about it.
Well, first of all, this is Netflix first, I guess, live comedy special. I just read today there's going to be a pregame and a postgame for it.
Really?
There are comics that are going to do a pregame, and there are comics that are going to do a postgame. Now, I don't know what I can tell you this. My mom and not stepdad Leo went to see Chris Rock at maybe Yamava or one of those Agua Caliente, something out there in the desert. And they said he did not address
At all
the Will Smith thing. But I assume this is material he's been working on.
Yeah,
he's been on the road all year long, and my expectations are probably too high.
Well,
That's what I'm worried about.
It's one of two things, because he's gone out of his way not to talk about this. He's been asked and hasn't wanted to talk about it. So either he's saving it for this one special, or, unlike Will Smith, he would like to just move on from this thing.
Yes.
Because nobody seems less interested in moving on from the slap than Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith keeps bringing it up.
Does he?
Yeah,
Yes.
he keeps bringing it up.
All.
What did he do? Did he do something on TikTok, I think? Or?
Yes, he was
Like apologizing,
I was gonna say.
or what is he doing?
Well, no, there was some. I don't know who this TikTok artist, performer, whatever you want to call her.
What
is.
are they now? I don't know.
I don't know. But she said
Artist feels wrong.
She had some video where she was talking about how you can figure out what an object is thinking.
Yes.
Like, this was essentially the premise of this, where you could basically assign thoughts to an inanimate object, what they were thinking. And Will Smith does like a side-by-side TikTok with this.
A
and then
stitch.
Is that what it's called?
Does a stitch.
It's
Yeah,
a
this
stitch.
is what the artists are all doing
Keep
now.
up, guys.
A stitch.
I know.
Keep up.
Yeah.
Kamenetsky.
So he takes out in this stitch his Oscar as if like, I wonder what my Oscar thinks of me. Again, addressing the slap. The Oscar's probably thinking, get over it, you jackass.
Move on. Move along.
Like, the entire world's gotten over this thing, and you can't do an interview without some type of like contemplation or reflection. You lost your temper.
Yeah, I got mad.
But this has got to be. This is really. You said it's the first time Netflix has ever done this, right?
Correct. First time they've ever done a live comedy special.
That's a great pre-promotion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to promote
okay,
that.
with that in mind, are you guys going to? I know we'll all see the comments.
No,
we'll
I
all
will
see
absolutely.
You will watch it.
I will
watch it live.
Yeah. I'm a big Chris Rock fan. I
so
will
am I.
absolutely watch it.
But the fact that it is
I'll
live,
watch it live
is not going to. I can just go to. I'm assuming.
Yeah, you
go
can,
to Netflix
on Sunday
and
you
then
can go to Netflix
watch
and watch
it all
the
over
entire
again.
thing. Yeah. But I think this is one to watch live.
I just have to see the league pass. What's happening Saturday night?
Yeah.
And then I'll watch it live.
I got T-Wolves Magic on Saturday night. They're going to have to wait.
Out of the box on this, what's keeping the Comedy Store or the Improv from just putting their night show, a bill, live on Netflix?
I think probably the concern that if something goes sideways, we're the ones that presented the thing that went sideways.
You're the air quote producer of the event. Yeah.
True.
Like,
yeah, that's possible.
I mean, years ago, for example, when Michael Richards had that meltdown at the Laugh Factory
Yes.
where he's throwing around the N-word, Think if you had just decided on a lark, hey, let's live.
This
let's
is live on
Kramer.
YouTube.
What could go wrong?
They're live on Netflix.
So I think that's what it is. Like the people at Netflix have a pretty good idea of what Chris Rock is going to get into, not get into.
The fact that, like, to your point, and anybody that follows comedy even a little bit knows that guys go out on the road and
He's
they
been
workshop
testing this
things,
material.
right?
He's been working on this act for a long time.
This
to do a
works.
special.
This doesn't. If I say it like this, it gets a better reaction than if I say it like that. There's a craft
They're
to
putting
doing
together
what
a
they
set.
do. Yes, they're putting together a set. That none of this has leaked somewhere. And I know that everybody leave your phone at the door and no recording. But
that's a good
I mean,
point.
it's virtually impossible to prevent somebody from recording something all the
it
time.
is interesting.
How has none of it gotten out?
Yeah, does he have one of those deals? I know Kevin Hart does the. Have you ever done the thing where you put your phone in this bag and you're not allowed? I wonder if Chris Rock has been doing that.
Maybe,
because I haven't seen any of his
I
stuff.
think a lot of comics do that now. I mean, there's been a period where comics have really struggled with going out on the road, like you said, Travis, working on their material. You're massaging this stuff.
Yes.
You know certain stuff isn't going to land, and that's the point. You're trying to figure it out. But then somebody is in the audience and they
have a recorder or
they have a
something.
recorder,
Mhm.
or even worse, they relay it. They relay what was said. Then all of a sudden, some writer from Slate does like a think piece about it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you have this like big viral discussion of all these people getting upset over an act that none of them actually saw.
And by the way, inside a comedy club right now, there's stuff going on that probably people don't want out there.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, and you know what? And that's where you're supposed to push the limits. You push the limits a little bit in a comedy, at the Comedy Store or at the Improv or wherever it is you're going. Comedians deserve a really wide berth
A
when it
safe
comes to this
spot to
social
go
moment.
figure out where they want
Exactly.
to ultimately be.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you just got to kind of put it out in front of the world from the jump, that's pretty. You've tried it, haven't you? Haven't you gone on
I've
stage?
never tried it,
You've
but
never
I've
tried
thought
it.
about it.
I'm
Seriously
I
thought
thought
about it.
that you told me. So I'm surprised that you haven't.
I've thought about it.
Your willingness to go out there and try things.
Yeah.
Is
I've
pretty
always,
awesome.
My friend Sue Kalinsky, who I do my podcast with, is a stand-up comic. Was a stand-up comic for 20 years, and I always joke, you can open for me.
You're the headliner, of
Right,
course.
I'm the headliner. You can open for me, Sue. But yeah, no, I would do. Jeannie Buss tried
What's
it.
prevented you from doing
Jeannie
it?
has.
It's a good question. There's a story right now that Tom Brady
I saw that.
is thinking about trying stand-up, and I'm like, if Tom Brady can do stand-up, I will kick his ass in the stand-up department, right? Tom Brady, I don't think of as funny at all.
No, or particularly interesting, which is what makes comics pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're at least interested in their
The
point of
weirder,
view.
the better.
Yes.
If this story is actually true, then basically what we've seen for the last 5 years of Tom Brady, it's one big midlife crisis. Like he's been playing quarterback, at age 45, seemingly for no reason.
Burning to do stand-up.
Nobody thinks he needs to
Just
do this.
buying time
He's
for his
doing
stand-up.
stand-up in his mid-40s. He doesn't,
I like
Live special on Netflix. Who wouldn't tune in to see
runs
Tom
away
Brady?
from
I
doing
want to
it?
be like a prop comic, like Carrot Top.
Oh, Gallagher.
Yeah, he's smashing
Gallagher.
fruit like Gallagher.
Yeah.
He's out there just doing the most, base, stupid.
Like when everyone else is saying, dude, just live your life with Giselle.
Yes.
Do the most normal thing in the world, which is settle down with your supermodel wife who seems pretty cool.
What
won't
would
do
be
it.
more surprising? That he comes in as like some goofy prop comic, or he comes in with just this razor sharp political set that just,
Super edgy.
that just
Boy.
torches half the country.
That's the one thing about this is why I don't think he's ever going to be a great analyst. I don't think he's got an edge to
I
him,
don't think
and
he
I think
does
you
either.
need an edge to be a good analyst.
You have to be at least
How do
be
they
willing to
offer-
say that sucks.
How do they offer that money and not have somewhat of an idea how this guy's going to do behind
Well, it's
the mic?
marquee
Happens all the
value,
time.
right? It's
Happens
marquee value.
all the time.
But
I
that's
mean,
just
maybe
it's
not
crazy.
that
It's
amount, but
300 plus, and you're
it's an
not sure.
insane amount.
Sean McVay, okay, that guy will be really good doing that.
Yeah.
Joe Montana was bad at it. Dan Marino was bad at it. There's a long list. Drew Brees was dreadful at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a list of really good quarterbacks who stink at that
You know
job.
who was a great analyst this last year, who I think is one of the smartest guys now, is Greg Olson.
He was fine.
Greg Olson, I thought, was really, really strong. Now, he's getting $9 million a year to do that job.
Jeez.
The moment Tom Brady starts at Fox, Greg Olson's salary drops to $3 million because he's the number 2 guy at Fox.
That's bad agenting, right?
Yeah, somebody made a bad deal there.
That's not. You're not paying me based on which games I'm doing. Let's negotiate what I get.
As long as you're the number 1, you get 9.
Right.
If they drop you to number 2, you get 3.
Well, I heard
9.
also. I heard also the $9 million still goes to Olsen's account. Then he has to write a check to Tom Brady.
Oh, is that how it works? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a full circle thing.
Did you do anything fun today aside from
Okay,
ACLs
I got a question.
and ankle injuries? And
I was asking Emily what to watch. I
Okay.
want something on TV
Oh, I
to
heard
watch.
this, yeah.
She gave me some suggestions. I'm curious if you guys have seen any of these. Have you guys? Have you seen Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Very good.
I love season 1 in particular. Season
Okay.
1 is great, but I would stick through it. It's really good.
Your Honor?
I've not seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rami?
I've never watched Rami. I hear really good things. I've seen him win awards and stuff, but it's sort of like that's like a
Coming to
I think
America
you said
kinda
Coming
deal.
to America.
Yeah,
it's
he's from Egypt.
Immigrant story. Yeah, it sounds good.
Andy?
The Bear.
Heard of it.
The Bear.
The Bear's
is
awesome.
One of the best shows on
Wow.
TV.
Awesome.
One of the best shows
Fantastic.
on TV.
So this is the one where the guy comes from a fine dining background, takes over the family sandwich shop, and tries to kind of
Yeah, his
upscale
his
it.
brother
Yeah.
committed suicide and left him this restaurant, and it threw him for a loop. And he has to take this thing over, but he wants to try to make it better than it had been, and sort of scratch his own culinary itch. There, the 7th episode of the season is
That's where he dies, right?
no,
Oh,
No.
Does that episode 8?
no,
the one
he
take
doesn't die.
episode.
He doesn't die.
no. We already had one brother die.
I was going to say, but the opening, well,
30 minutes
commits
in,
suicide.
episode
Yeah,
7.
led with the suicide, which is not.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't think I want to see that.
You're going to know this within the first 5 minutes of the show.
no,
Just
no,
like-
no. It's not like as in a spoiler thing, but that's like I
I
It's a
want to
dark
let
lead.
people know what they're getting
when
in
I
for.
turn on the TV, I want to have it be light and
But
easy.
they
You don't want
jumped
the Bear. You
They
don't want
jumped
that show.
right away on the Bear as if go see it. So that's a great.
Yeah, no,
it's
the
a great
Bear
sign.
is. I think it's one of the best shows on TV. Period.
Okay.
If you want
Till he
light
dies.
and breezy, you don't want the Bear.
Yeah, episode 7.
Till he dies. Episode 7.
Episode 7
Okay.
is basically like one continual 30-minute
Yes.
take.
It
one
just
of the
keeps
most-
going and going.
It's one of the
It's
most
like
amazing things I've ever
one
seen.
shot.
Yes.
One
Okay,
shot.
and then
Brilliant.
Berg gave one suggestion: shrinking.
He's got a terrible taste in shows. I don't ever watch anything Bergman says
Have you seen
to
that?
watch.
Greg, I tried.
I watched
man. I threw
one
it in.
episode.
bad.
I don't like shrinking. It didn't work for me. And by the way, there's so much on now. If it doesn't work, I'm out.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't have
Yeah.
to
How
stick
many
with
do you
it.
give it? Because I will, if it's somebody that I trust,
Yep.
and says, "Hey, I really think you're gonna like this," and watch episode 1, you're like, not for me.
2 episodes.
I think 2's the
Yeah.
cap.
Two's
episode.
probably fair. Yeah, two's probably. Bergman, you like shrinking? Is that working for you? I don't know.
No, I do. Shrinking is really good. It's Jason Segel and Harrison Ford.
I do like Jason Segel
too.
a lot. He's got very interesting taste.
Watch another episode. It does get better. It's a really good show. It's just
some
an
good
easy show to watch.
recommendations.
Yeah,
here.
I've been in therapy a lot, so I would imagine shrinking's probably
it's
right up my
shrinking
alley.
as
Exactly.
in you're being analyzed.
Yeah, you're not getting smaller.
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's not-
Maybe
it's not
that's where
Honey-
I got confused. Like
Honey,
I
I
started
Shrunk the
thinking
Kids.
Danny
It's not what it
DeVito,
is.
He did.
and twins with
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I thought
Lily
something
Tomlin.
had been miniaturized. I
Yes,
thought
no, and
that's
it's
what we
not
were
that,
talking about.
but it's an
All right.
interesting idea.
That doesn't sound very
Anniversary,
easy.
by the way, Donnie Brasco today as well.
Oh,
I saw you light up when I said that.
It's a great movie.
Forget about it.
Brasco.
It's
To Fugazi.
It's so that's. I mean, it's been years, but it is so sad when he busts him at the end. When Pacino realizes that
been
he's
had.
been duped.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, it's the
brutal.
culmination of being a loser his whole life, and this was the cap.
Yep.
So good.
defining
Yeah,
moment.
such a great movie.
Yeah.
That's where Forget About It comes from, right? That
Forget
was the
About It.
Bayline.
Forget
Forget
About
about
It.
it.
Yep.
Forget about it.
You forget about it, Sliwa.
Love that
Because
movie.
that movie came out even before The Sopranos, and a
Yeah.
lot of forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I've been
97, I think we said.
Michael and I
95.
are rewatching this. Or he's watching it for the first time, so I'm seeing it again. So we're kind of going through it together. You forget, not a great show for all of the. It's so funny.
It is funny.
It is so funny, and without trying to land jokes,
Yeah.
it just lands joke after joke.
Yeah,
after
Paulie.
joke. Paulie
is the best.
My name's Clarence. I just drop things off.
yeah. But I
is
love
terrific.
Paulie and the Wings.
Oh, the wings.
Tell
Wings are
Susan
great.
all day today. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Super Crosstalks powered by In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger